Are you blind? Don't you see the family resemblance? That's my brother.
You and Sprinks? Yeah, I don't really see it.
Oh, better believe it. Welcome, everybody, to this episode of the Cheap Seat Critics podcast, number 195. We're so close to 200. Uh, Today, we're covering Remember the Titans. With me today, we have.
Hello, everybody. I'm one of your hosts, a geeky writer.
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Sprinks. And hey, if you're listening from Alexandria, Virginia, you can find us over on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, Blue Ski, uh, TikTok. We have a LetterBoxd account with our average graphs and numbers of whatever it is we have covered up to the point. We got visual side of things on YouTube, Rumble, and Spotify, but Spotify is also a hybrid because you don't need to look at the visual to also listen to it. I guess you could also do that with Rumble and YouTube, but it's a little different, maybe. Anyway, tons of audio platforms out there as well you could be listening to. And the intro. All right, that was the intro. Yeah, Remember the Titans is what we're covering today. Second film of the season. Um, Trying to think of anything quippy and witty. Nothing's coming to mind. So let's start with histories on the movie, and let's start with writer.
Yeah, I definitely remember the Teen Titans a lot. No, okay.
Oh no, different.
Yeah,
You're confused.
yes, I am. So remember the Titans. History. I think I said in the last video for draft day. Um, I don't really do sports movies very often, but I will say I have heard of Remember the Titans multiple times throughout the years. I never really sat down to watch it. If I have, I don't remember. So this is a first time for the podcast for me. I knew Denzel Washington was in it. I knew that there was racism related, like social issues involved in the film, and I knew it was football. That's pretty much the only three things I knew about the movie before I watched it.
All right, cool. Let's then go to myself. I'll save Crimson for last. Um, I've seen this movie. There's probably upwards of 10 times. This could be a little over, a little under. Um, I can't recall the first time I watched this movie. I was probably pretty young, maybe I don't know, 10 or 11. And it's a movie that when I think of like football movies, this is definitely one that like comes to the top of my mind, like on my list. I think that's about it. I watched it one time for the pod. Yeah, I guess that leaves you, Crimson.
All right. That was a surprise. I didn't think this was like a round 10 number for you. I didn't know it was that big of a movie for you. That's kind of cool.
Wait, around a what?
Uh,
Oh, that I've seen it that
Around
many?
10. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kind of didn't know it was that big of a childhood film. For myself, I've heard of the film. I knew Denzel Washington was in it. I didn't know what sport it was about. Um, I just knew it was a sports movie. First time I saw it was for the podcast. That's
Two
pretty much it.
newbies.
Very thin.
Right. I did not. I guess I'm surprised. I didn't realize neither of you have seen it.
Yep, completely new.
Like I said, I
Cool.
just wasn't really into sports movies growing up.
I guess so, but you're
I haven't even
also
seen that many Denzel Washington movies. I'm thinking about it.
oh, like Ryder, you're
Seen
also a
like Bone
football guy.
Collector.
Well,
What
that's
did you
not a
say?
football movie.
What did you say, Springs?
I'm just saying, as like a football fan, not seen many football movies, but
Yeah, it's yeah, I don't know why. It's never really. I remember I became to enjoy sports quite later in life, and I guess I mean I get my history with sports is my history with sports in general is complicated. I was raised playing basketball and baseball, and I watched basketball and I watched a little bit of baseball. I that eventually stopped, and I didn't get into football until much later. And then I was never into any movies regarding the sports I was into at the time because the time that I would be spent watching movies was times I would be like dragged into watching a live sports game.
Gotcha. Correct me if I'm wrong, but aren't you, or either you were or still are, like a football coach?
Oh, yes. Okay. So I did have a brief stint as an assistant coach for one of my university. It was pretty cool. I got to know a bunch of players, got to draw up plays. That was actually a lot of fun. I only did it for a semester though because I couldn't keep attending due to just my life situation.
Gotcha. I just remember that being a little history of you. I don't remember if that was shared on the pod before or not. But
That wasn't because I completely forgot about it.
oh, uh, okay. Well, with that, I'll go into some fun facts I have here about the movie. The film's initial release date was September 29th, 2000. So this movie's pushing 26 years old. It has a runtime of 1 hour and 53 minutes. It had a budget of what I could find of 30 million, and its box office domestically was 115.6 million, 21 million international, leaving a total of 136.7 worldwide.
Where's the sequel?
Well, when it's based on a true story, I don't know if it really will get a sequel.
I want to see the Wheelchair Olympics sequel.
loosely,
Ah,
loosely based on a true story.
yeah. It has a rating of PG, and genre is under sports drama, and is directed by none other than Bose Yakin, or Yakin, however it's pronounced, who's directed such things such as Fresh, A Price Above any of those are. He also has the written screenplay credit for Now You See Me.
Okay, I've heard of Uptown Girls. It's got
I've heard of the song.
Brittany Murphy or whatever. If it's the correct movie I'm thinking of.
Maybe, I don't know, I haven't seen it. And then I got a couple more here. Audience, take these with a grain of salt. What I previously just said, and then moving forward here, found these off the internet. Could be true, could be false. You know, what I have is there's a scene in the film where a brick is thrown through the window at Coach Boone's house. In real life, that was actually an old toilet that was thrown, but the filmmakers thought that that would add too much humor to a serious situation.
Yeah,
Okay, understandable
that
change.
that checks out. Yeah, life can be too absurd sometimes. There's a one of my favorite stories I always tell people is there's a character called Jack Aubrey that's in like naval history and a naval character. But the person he's based on in real history did more insane shit than the fictional character does. So they toned down what happened in real history to make the movie more realistic.
Interesting. Uh, the original script was full of profanity, but Disney, in an effort to produce a good family film, asked Mr. Jerry Bruckheimer to remove all profanity from, or all extreme profanity from the script.
I figured as much. There weren't hard R's per se. It's like it's a
Yeah,
Disney film. So.
in
Yeah.
but there were surprisingly, going through this film as a podcast, like dissecting thing. This movie has a lot more slurs than I remember.
Yeah, I
Because there's a
mean
few.
they are capturing a very particularly tumultuous time, so
Yeah. Next one I have is Denzel Washington turned down Pay It Forward to do this film instead.
I think
I'm
it's
not
to his
familiar with Pay It
benefit.
Forward.
I believe it's a pretty big one. I can't recall if that's the Spike Lee one. Might be. And the last fact I have here, which writer you might appreciate, as part of Boziak the director effort at authenticity, two of the referees in the film, E.Y. Coley and B. Keith Harmon, who played the crooked referee, are real life officials with the Atlanta Area Football Officials Association.
Thumbs up.
So now we can call him
Yes.
a crooked ref in real life because it's true.
He must be reffing for the Chiefs.
Oh, bam, bam. Do either of you two have any additional facts to add? Being first timers.
This is
Nothing.
an American football film.
Oh, good clarification.
That's probably should say that at the beginning of every podcast. I do
This
have
whole
some
season's American football.
I do have some history facts, but I think they'll be better suited to our actual coverage, just 'cause it'll be interesting to juxtapose real history with what they did in the film.
Okay, that is true. That there are things skewed. All right. Well, with that, we'll go into the coverage of the film. Today, we're going to go to popcorn method. So, if someone wants to start at the end, they totally can. And then we'll do all that. And then when that's wrapped, we'll do summaries and ratings. So, let us begin with myself.
Ooh,
Whoa.
spicy.
I know. Mm-hmm. What do I should,
You still
I
think
should
this
have.
football is fun,
Yeah,
huh?
it was like you didn't have one on the
You
ready
think
to
it's
go.
fun? You still think it's fun?
Well, yeah, no, sure, yeah. Yeah, one that caught me off
Good
guard,
reference.
which a little surprising. No, I mean, shouldn't be surprising. If high school football is bigger than Christmas Day, I don't want to be there.
It's just because you don't have the spirit for it, Springs.
I don't.
No, it's quite the bold claim, but I'm not too
I get,
surprised.
yeah, I get
I
Christmas Day
mean,
is one day and football is like a whole season, but
yeah, I think my only comment on that is that a lot of people look forward to the Christmas football game because usually that's like the NFL schedules like um like some of the best teams together on Christmas Day to really entertain the audiences. Like I remember it was either last year or the year before the 49ers got paired up with the Baltimore Ravens, which were the two best teams in the league at the time for the Christmas game. So there is a lot of football hype on Christmas Day that kind of bleeds over. So if you're a really big football fan, I guess I can understand why people would think that. But I'm with you, Springs. I don't. I'm here for Christmas. I'd rather watch Polar Express.
mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's just a good, I guess, hook for me at the beginning of this movie.
Does it
But
make it
I
a
do
Christmas movie since it's mentioned?
absolutely not. I do believe though that they depict it very well in this movie at how much this town loves football.
Yeah.
Especially his daughter.
Yeah. I This is actually a good contrast, I think, with Draft Day because Draft Day, a lot of the we don't like for Cleveland and for Seattle, which are the main towns where we see like crowds of fans. Um, we get a lot of that love of football mostly through narration and the radio. I think this film does a good job of putting us on the ground and showing how much this town loves football.
Yeah.
Both in the start of it when like all the other members of the African American community show up to Coach Boone's house to kind of cheer him on when he kind of wants to turn down the head coach role because he doesn't want that. And then again when they're doing really well and they go into the championship, the whole street's like cheering for them.
Yeah, all the neighbors. Sure.
Yeah. So I agree. There's a and to actually tag on one more thing to that point of yours, Sprinks, is they have a very, very good subversion of expectations with the police officer rolling up to Julius and
Oh, Julius? Yeah.
yeah, and like there's because of the movie that you feel that tension, but the police officer just drives up and compliments the football, and I'm like, that's a nice subversion of expectations. I like that.
Yeah. Well, with that, let's go to Crimson.
Okay, I'll bring up probably my biggest point right at the gate.
Ooh.
And I don't know how much of it's subjective. There's certainly a subjective element to it. And that's, I don't know what the movie was going towards by the end. And what I mean by that is I didn't feel like there was a goal at the end. Like there was no antagonist, no higher echelon motive other than we're playing football to win. Most of the story is based off of building the team and then the racial elements and everything involved with that. But by the end, the big team at the end, the coach that had 250 wins in 30 years. So I'm like, it'd be cool if they built that guy up or something. I didn't feel like we were working towards anything.
He does get mentioned earlier, but and when Coach Boone goes to visit Coach Bill, I don't remember Bill's last name, but when he
Yoast.
visits his Yoast, when he goes to visit Coach Yoast and at his house, he actually delivers like last year's playbook for the team that's like doing super well. It's like we'll never face them until we reach the state
Yeah,
championship.
that was a
But
weird. That was a weird line, or just thing I didn't know when Boone shows that to Yoast. Do high school teams record their gameplay sessions
uh,
in high school?
I don't know. I should have looked into that. I know colleges obviously fucking do. I think
Yeah, college do and NFL, of
if
course, but
you're,
I mean, high
I think
school
if
just
you,
seems.
I think there are some high schools that do just to start early. I like if you come from a more sportsy high school, I think generally you would be expected to do it. But I'm finicky on that one, and I don't want to be quoted. So that's just me, my best guesswork.
Okay.
Based
Okay,
on
I
this
just found that line a
film,
little
I would
off,
say
but
yes, they clearly do.
okay. Um, Crimson, I guess to go back to your question, I saw it as the goal is to win every game because it was set that if they lose one game, Coach Boone will be fired for like failing. So they have to win every game. And then the goal is to get the state championship. I saw the antagonist. I mean, there's a couple of antagonists here and there because of mostly just racism is the antagonist of the film, I think. But I do see Ray as being like that kind of um, back and forth difference across Gary.
He got
Yeah.
removed like 2/3 into the movie though.
Yeah, but then I
I have
guess it's
a
just the
I
enemy
have a
team. But
I guess I have a second follow-up question for you, Crimson. Does the movie need uh like what you're thinking more is a bigger goal or a bigger antagonist than what it has?
And that's why I brought it up initially. Of I was kind of having a hard time discerning if this is an objective thing or subjective. Personally, yeah, I would kind of prefer an end goal. Maybe not necessarily big bad, but that's kind of an easy route to take. Could be the championship team, the 250 wins team. Um, so subjectively, yeah, I think I would like that, something to work towards. On
Crimson,
the oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say,
No.
can I compare it to a movie I know you have seen to just know your difference between the two?
Sure.
How does that line up to Real Steel?
I mean, they kind of build up the whole Battle of Zeus through the whole movie. Zeus is mentioned constantly. The matches are brought up in the background. Was Charlie, was that the kid's name? Um,
I think.
he talks about wanting to fight for the big leagues and stuff. So I feel like that is properly built up for the big fight at the end.
Okay, because just constant talk in the background of
Talked, it's
something
shown of
big.
seeing Zeus's fights. It's pretty prevalent throughout the film.
Okay.
Well, hearing all of this now, Crimson, I think I'm on the page where the actual antagonist throughout the film is obviously racism, the tumultuous social times, but subjectively, I do think it would have been nice to add in more hints at who the last team they're going to face is obviously going to be, because it would be because like I said, we have one reference to it earlier in the film where Coach Boone is sharing with Coach Yoast like their playbook and stuff like that to help with the defense, and I think it would be interesting to see Yost try and coach his defense to try and prepare for that, or some more through lines with that to kind of help build up. Like, yeah, everything else is going to be hard and difficult, but this is going to be like our end goal at the same time.
Yeah.
So I think
You could even you could even say that the coach in the game prior that was shown is more of an antagonist than the last one for the
I
state
was just
championship.
about to say that um, since you both might have answers to this question, percentage wise, how much of this is accurate?
Oh, that
It's
I
like
do not know.
80% accurate or
to
less
history,
or
or do you mean?
yeah. Yeah, it says it's based on events. Base is very loose.
I would
So
guess I would say at least 60.
I'm actually at 30 or 40.
Oof. The reason I bring this up is because I do think if they swapped the last two teams, it would make a better ending, where the final fight is the cheating fight. Because that goes hand in hand with the whole racism thing that's been going through the whole film. They're fighting the racist team. Meanwhile, the last team here is just guys that we don't know anything about. But if it was built up that they're fighting the big racist team, that kind of culminates with the theme of the movie.
Would it? Hmm, it would. I'm curious. No, that wouldn't happen because of high school. Never mind. It's like it would be one of those like Disney moment kind of things if like Ray was on the enemy team in the final game.
I was afraid they were going to do that. I'm kind of happy they didn't.
I like what they did with the Airbud first one. That one kid that got kicked off was put on the enemy team.
Yeah. Or in League of Their Own when Kit gets
Yeah,
traded.
that's true. So I guess that would be my fix for this to, I think, make a better conclusion is having the big bad be the racist team and not this
Okay.
team we don't really know anything about. And they don't
I
seem like bad guys. They're just players.
Yeah, I do think I do think the team that they're playing is accurate to history. I don't know if their record was. I don't know if
Well, I'm sure the accuracy of the history is they won every game this season.
yeah, they did, yes. The last, I mean, like let me to put it to the inaccuracies would be like it wasn't a back and forth the last game. The Titans won 27-0 in real life. So there was no question who was the better team. Uh, but obviously that doesn't make for good like storytelling drama, right? So that makes sense as to why they changed that. But I yeah, I don't think it's. I'm still not convinced it's necessary, but I am convinced it would probably improve the film. So I still think it's mostly subjective, but I think there is objective elements that would link into like this would improve like the film tying into the theme better if we did swap the last two teams, even if that's obviously would fuck with history a little bit. But at the end of the day, we're trying to make a better movie, not necessarily
Yeah, I mean, it sounds
something
like they've
historically
already been
accurate.
tweaking the movie based off what you've
Yeah,
just stated.
yeah. If they've already tweaked the film like to that degree, I think that would have been a better change. So, yeah,
One
that's
of
where
those
I'm at
things that
now.
once the line's crossed of tweaking one point of authenticity, then anything can.
I mean,
Um,
for me, I
no,
think it
there's
depends on the severity of the tweak. Like
yeah.
the switching out the toilet with a brick, that's kind of a minor tweak. Swapping the 27-0 to a close game, that's a substantial change, I think.
Yeah. Well, and also, I mean, to add a little bit more onto this, since we're on like historical stuff, the racial integration for the Titans that the team happened 10 years prior to when the film takes place, where the film kind of depicts it. It's all happening right now. Again, it works for the drama of the film, but it's also a very clear like change from history.
Okay.
So I guess based off that question, Sprinkswit, I guess what's your view of that? If it breaks once, is it all broken or is it a level?
I mean, to me, it kind of goes to the uh, a quote of Batman where he talks down Jason Todd and says, "Once you cross that line of killing, you're like free reign to kill again. Like you've already done it." So I kind of feel like the same with like this. It's like once you break authenticity purposefully, like acknowledging such, then it kind of opens up the leniency to continually do it since you've already done it before and you're like, okay, now it's not fully historically accurate. It's not saying to fully fictionize something, but if that's if your goal isn't to be 100% authentic to the story you're basing things around as best you can because you don't have 100% of all the details, then the fictional route to take of implementing things that can be tweaked might be better leaned onto the build and pace and editing and whatnot of crafting a better film.
It's
So
always
due to that mind space, the pitches we've been talking about of like swapping the final two teams, would you hold that as an objective flaw to the film or damage to the film? Because
Um,
it's not as good as it could have been in that regards?
it would have been somewhat like a balance, because I think that would have definitely paced better for the climax of the movie to be a more antagonistic team against the Titans, but it would break on the based on a true story and then changing that whole swap of the game that wasn't accurate.
Yeah, which is what I'm saying with what, at least what it sounded like your belief system was. If they're not adhering to the history once, then they're kind
I
of
mean,
free
they
reign
can,
to
but they're
do
not
it
gonna like,
throughout.
yeah, but don't throw in like, oh, there was an elephant on the field, kind of thing. Like then it's just silly. But I think it's a balancing act kind of thing. Because to me, it's like that could better the writing, but or better the pacing, but damage like the authentic storytelling.
the authenticity. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it's a hard one to address sometimes, especially when it comes to the something based on a true story. Because I've watched obviously numerous films. Being the nerd I am, I've seen a bunch of history films adapted, like history adapted into films just for the sake of uh like the films have kind of different goals in mind. Like
What's the difference
Saving
between
Private
based
Ryan,
on and inspired
obviously,
on?
yeah, like Saving Private Ryan example is not necessarily based on a real thing that happened in history. It just follows a group of fictional characters looking for another fictional character. But what it does is capture the authenticity and feeling of the war itself, you know? So, like, that's the goal it sets out to capture, even though the story it's technically telling is fictional. Um, and so there's levels of that I think would kind of bleed into how this would probably have to be done by a case by case basis for me personally. Because,
Actually, yeah. No, a good example of that, I guess, in three to come to mind is the fully fictitious but in world events is like Captain America First Avenger. Then you have
yeah,
kind of fictitious team in a more accurate world event, Saving Private Ryan. Then you have accurate people in an accurate event like Hacksaw Ridge.
yeah. So there's different levels of how you base your story off of history, and you have to take it into account what the film is trying to achieve, while also trying to take into an account um, whether being more accurate to history would have served the film better or worse when it comes to its script or the filmmaking, etc. Um, which is why um I don't think it registers enough damage to be on the damage ladder for me personally. Like the idea of swapping out the teams, I think that would for me would fall under a nitpick. But like most of the other things in here, probably wouldn't even reach the damage ladder because I can under like the brick to toilet thing. It's fine. I don't the change at the end from 27 to 0. Yes, that's not 27 to 0 to what it actually is in the film. That to me is not necessarily like it makes sense to me why that was changed to make a better movie because it adds a lot more tension than a blowout, even if that does break the history. So I think there is levels to which you can make drastic changes to history but still achieve a good film, and it's just kind of a balancing act on how you approach it.
Okay, so it sounds like Ryder, you're on levels. Sprinks, you're fairly on levels as well on it, and I guess we're all on kind of levels on regarding to a film adhering to its historical source material.
Yes.
Yeah, I will say this: if the film's goal is to be historically accurate, I'm going to judge that as part of its category. I mean, Greyhound, another good example for us that we've actually covered in the podcast. Technically a fictional story, but it captures the feeling of a real part in history.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this film explicitly states right at the beginning that it's based on true events.
Yeah.
It's not
All the
just left to
people.
interpretation. Was this historical or not?
That is true, though. It is
Yeah.
based on those events.
Yeah. All these
It's
people
not
are
is those
real.
events.
Yeah. All these people are real. They were real. I mean, it's not Ray. It's Oh man, I had his name down too and everything.
There's a lot of names. Rev?
There
Yeah.
are a lot.
It's not Rev. It's Julius's friend, the main defensive captain. Ray? No, it's not Ray.
Gary?
Gary. Thank you.
Gary.
Yeah, Gary
But yeah.
Butner?
Yeah, like Gary actually does get hurt in real history, obviously. Like he does get crippled by a car, but it doesn't happen until after the championship. So that happens
Yeah.
after the story, technically, in real life. But for here, they obviously move it because they want to add in the flair of drama. And I do think it works to get the
Oh,
emotional bonding across.
it does. That is
They seem
interesting,
very
though.
loosey goosey with this history stuff now. The more you bring it up.
Yeah, that's interesting that in real life, Gary was a part of that final game.
Yeah. Like I said, that's why I'm at 30-40 Crimson with respect to Sprinx's like 60.
Well, I'm doing 60, like the people, the times, the school, the coaching, like everything incorporated, of like how accurate it is.
Yeah. Look, all that is real. That's what kind of holds mine up to 30 and 40. But like, it's for me, obviously, it's a lot of little changes they made to kind of dramatize the film. Again, it's not necessarily a bad decision because I think that moving that forward allows the drama to be in the film.
Yeah. Also, I want to state this, being that we've talked about like the previous game and then the final game and all the, I still think it's fine. It's still a good final game.
Oh yeah.
I'm not saying the movie's worse off because of how the movie is.
I agree with that. I do think the final game is definitely serviceable. Though I would agree with Crimson that I think moving the racist team to the last game would have made it more in line with the theme. So it's not a bad final game. It's definitely serviceable.
And I guess my point on it is I think it's just okay. It's probably, to me, the weakest part of the film. The ending here.
Okay. Which I was just about to say, even if it sticks to authenticity, but we were just told it's not. So
Yeah, it's not.
okay.
But if it was, that would make it better in my book. If it was strictly historical, then then what more can you do, right? I mean, it's what happened.
True.
Yeah.
Of course you can, but
Yeah, like I said, if the film's goal was to be completely historic accurate, that is another metric you can then judge it by objectively.
okay. I know I've seen this movie multiple times, but for the podcast, like again, dissecting it, I forgot how much screen time Ryan Gosling has in this movie.
Forgot how much or how little?
How much? I thought he
Okay.
was in less of the movie. He's in more of it than I thought.
I didn't know he was in it.
Yeah, neither did I. He's definitely a solid background character most of the time.
Alan. And
Yeah,
his
well, yes, the
very
whole thing with his
aggressive
dad
dad.
and Petey, and
I
well,
love how
yeah,
kind of
aggressive dad.
yeah. I do like his character though because he's even when he's starting to change, like he's one of the last people to kind of get won over into the whole team integration during the training, but he's like sitting next to Ray, and Ray is still being a party pooper more or less.
Yeah, Ray was not team integrated at all.
Ray did not get flipped.
No,
Ray was having a rough time of it.
racist.
Yeah, let's go with that. Ray was racist.
Did Coach Tyrell quit? We kind of just had the like cafe
Yes.
diner scene, and I don't remember if he ever showed up again or if was referenced again.
No, I think he
He
quit there, saying "Go to hell,"
yeah, he quit.
Okay.
which was a bit of a escalated scene. Like I don't know if it was fully out of character. We don't get much of Coach Tyrell, but it was odd to me.
It's really funny for me because 3 lines in my notes before that I wrote, "Where's Coach Tyrell with the special team?" and then we get this scene like, oh, okay, he exists just for this scene, I guess.
I think
Yeah.
I mean, he was hoping that Coach Yoast would have gotten big head coach again by that point, but didn't count on Coach Yoast being a decent human being.
Well, yeah, I have it somewhere in my notes where that scene is, but just like I guess aggression, he just had it on him the entire time he was there.
I
It'd be
guess
kind of
so.
like the same set of like Ray. He's like, oh, I'll be on the team. I'll do what I need to be there, kind of thing, but not be fully for the team.
He's very. I mean, a lot of scenes in the background when he's next to Coach Yost, you can see him looking at Coach Boone very judgingly. So he's again, they do a good job with him subtly, but I agree for that scene. I think that should have been his problem should have been more obvious beforehand.
Does he have a scene with Boone?
Not
Tyrell?
alone.
Yeah, okay. I
So
think
he does
that's
have scenes with him, but no,
something that
not
would have been
alone.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't think he has a one-on-one scene. Well, he doesn't have a one-on-one scene. It's always with Yost or someone else in the room. I don't think Tyrell's in a room with Doc.
Doc?
Yeah, Boone's other coach.
Boone's assistant
Oh,
coach.
I never read his name. Okay.
I don't think
Yeah, I
so.
don't think so.
No.
Like the four of them don't have like a real talk. Like they're all at the table during the camp, like
Yeah.
defense side and offense side, but
Whenever they're in the offices, it's just Boone, Doc, and Yost. I don't remember ever seeing uh, Tyrell in
Tyrell.
there.
actually that brings up a good question for me to bring up to you two. How did you two like or dislike the whole team mechanic is kind of against like racism and like learning to be together, accept one another, respect one another. And the same was kind of going for Yost and Boone, but on the team of like sticking to like your offensive, stick to that. I'm on defensive, and then at the end, actually like blending and helping each other.
I loved it. I
Did you
don't
find
know
it
whether
okay?
I don't know
Like, did you
whether
find it a
that's
little hypocritical,
I
or
don't know whether that's accurate or not. Well, I mean, so coaches are often territorial, and they're both good coaches, so they respect each other. So they don't want
mess
to
the other
have
up?
to ask for help. Yeah, they don't want to have to ask for help. They're both prideful, and that's kind of the nature of sports. A better, good happens with a lot of football teams in the NFL and beyond that. So I think it works because it adds a more subtle layer of drama to the film. It's what's playing out with the rest of the team is playing out with the coaches as well, just slower because they Yost obviously has other goals in mind. He wanted to be the head coach, and now he's playing second fiddle more or less. And obviously he throws all that away by the end, which is kind of helps in their when they finally kind of swap offensive players over to defensive players. Doesn't make much sense to me, but works for the film. Um, so yeah, I actually do like their dynamic quite a bit with regards to the team as well.
Yeah, I liked it as a whole. There was one scene that is kind of like eye rolly to me, and that's when um, Ray tries to sit at the offensive table, and Gary's like, "This is the offensive table." Like,
This
okay,
is the defensive table.
or
Yeah,
whatever. That was the only like, I get what you're trying to do. I think it's a little heavy. I think you did a good job throughout though. So that was
yeah.
the
I'm
only
just
standout
it,
one.
going
Yeah,
off of the parallel of black and white to offense defense.
yeah, I think they did good with that.
Okay,
What about
I
you,
don't think it was.
Sprinks?
No, I think they did good with it. I just found it a little hypocritical. I mean, it's as you said, prideful on both coaches, but a little hypocritical on them telling the whole team you need to work together, you need to learn each other, be a team, work together, yet they're still not doing that with Boone and Yoast. Like Yoast has attempted, and Boone's like, nope, you stick to yours, I got mine, I know what I'm doing, which is proving himself because he feels the need and has to in the environment to prove himself. Otherwise, it would cost him everything. So to not have Yoast get in the way and then blame it on Yoast, he can take full responsibility if something happens, and I get that, but none of the team comes back seeing that because they fully see like Yoast is doing the defensive and Boone is doing the offensive to put it back on the coaches of what they're seeing.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I mean, it being hypocritical is not necessarily a bad thing either. But I see what you're getting at with that particular angle.
Yeah.
I still
It
think
might
it's
not be a complaint from the team, being that they're winning. So they're like, oh, it's working. Why break it if it's not broken, kind of thing?
yeah.
Or
And to
that's
be
not the
fair,
phrase.
yeah. To be
Why
fair,
fix it
they
if it's not
also
broken?
Yeah.
and to be fair though, they also they put up a united front for the team. So they're keeping their like separate delineated lines mostly to themselves in private discussions in their office, which I think is a very adult and mature thing to do. Because the team doesn't really pick up on their underlying tension or distrust towards each other. And if they do, the film doesn't make that clear.
Yeah.
But I'd agree,
Okay.
it is hypocritical. I don't necessarily view that as an issue or anything on the damage letter.
Okay. I mm, I think I have it just like as a small nitpick.
I
Would
guess
it?
for me,
Would
I just see it as character flaws, and I think it's okay for them to have them in
yeah,
this for that
yeah.
particular instance.
That's kind of where I'm at with it. I guess my follow up question for you, Springs, is: would it be better if they acknowledged that they were being hypocrites at a certain point? They made it more
Yeah. If there was
obvious, I
one
guess.
scene, either not doesn't have to be obvious or over
Yeah,
the top to be shown that way for a message, but just like acknowledged either between the two coaches or by the teammates.
I see. So, why then is the final scene where he asks Boone for help in the locker room not necessarily count? And then when he goes over to Boone to talk about like, okay, you need to actually mix up your offensive plays, this guy you read. So like there is those interactions that happen, but I guess my last question for you, Springs, on this particular subject is what is specifically are you looking for then to either expand on those scenes specifically or like a third scene you would want to add in.
Okay, well, the two examples you gave are at the very end of the movie, so those are
Yeah,
like kind of like the climax of
they're
like,
they're they're
okay,
the
they're learning from each
resolutions.
other.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have definitely wanted prior, but during the games, not during the camp training, but like during the games they're going through winning, to just show either one of them. Probably not. It'd probably be from Yost because Yost is the one who constantly reaches out trying to help Boone, and Boone's prideful in his work to make sure he does it right. So maybe in the scene when Boone comes to Yost's office, like at his home, and to express it there, and whether Boone talks back and says, "No, I'm going to do it my way," kind of thing, or leaves a little angry or something like that. But at least Yost bringing it up that he sees it happening as the whole training with the the team, because Yost's main concern is just about like the discipline factor of like being trained for like Marines and not necessarily like high school football and stuff like that. But it's not so much of like you are teaching. It's kind of more like he's not leading by example. Like we don't see Boone really trying to get to know Yost just to go over football. Like they just keep it to business of the football and the teams, and that's it. But his whole thing for the team is like you got to know everybody on the team, and until you do that, we're gonna do 3 runs a day, and like that's the training. But he's not doing that onto himself to show them.
Um, well, and on that front, like Boone does invite like him over to his house his daughter to hang out, which is kind of what leads into something later. So there is some of that, but I
Yes,
get
but
what
it's
you're.
still about the game and football. Like
Yeah,
when Cheryl goes over to the Boones, it's just to be like, oh, play with Nikki, make a friend. And it's like, no, it's just going to be watching the reels and doing football stuff.
yeah, yeah. To kind of get in what you're going for here, I think the scene that jumps out to me that I would want to tweak is actually the scene with his daughter after he gave up the being like the award or whatever he was supposed to get um for the Hall of Fame. He gave
Oh,
up the
the Hall
Hall
of
of
Fame?
Fame. Yeah,
Yeah.
he gave up the Hall of Fame to win the game with Boone. Um, but that scene with his daughter, I actually think like there could have been something more to come out of that scene for what you're looking for, because at the very beginning of the film we can see how Yost's daughter treats Boone. Like she's very very like disrespectful towards him and everything. But that scene
Yeah.
right there could acknowledge the hypocrisy, and he could be, being a parent to her and teaching her an important life lesson while also going through the Hall of Fame stuff. And I think that would be some good character stuff as well. Um, but yeah, I see what you're putting down, Springs.
All right. Well, Crimson, what did you have to input on that?
Well, on the hypocrisy statement, I I don't have too much to say on it. I think it's within the characters to have some flaws. Um, but with the comparison between, yeah, I didn't write the girls' names down. I just wrote
Cheryl and
daughters.
Emma, I believe.
Cheryl, no, Emma's the girlfriend. Um, Sean,
Boone's daughter is
Nikki,
Nikki. Nikki.
Nikki,
Okay.
I
Cheryl and
just
Nikki.
did my nails.
Yeah. So comparing their dynamic where Cheryl's just focusing on the game aspect, and then Emma's focusing on the race aspect with the comparison you brought up. I didn't really see the parallel between them, but since you're bringing it up, I think it is a good way of representing different dynamics um, with people in here. So
Okay. Because I definitely see the parallel of Yost and Boone to Gary and Julius.
yes, I see that. Now that one's a clear one.
Yeah. So to me, the female presence of being a part of those two is Cheryl and Emma.
So,
But okay.
I'll bring up a design thing that bugged me. I guess
Ooh, a
we can talk
design.
about intention or not. The Titans don't have a freaking logo on their uniforms, while every other team did. Their helmets just have their player number, and the uniforms just have player numbers. There's no logo. And the only thing I could think of is, well, the league didn't fund them enough to get custom outfits, but they would have stuff from the previous year, like helmets. So I don't. And if that was the case, I think that would have to be delivered in the movie of someone complaining, Coach, why don't we get the good stuff? Well, sorry, we're not funded. It's something to address it. Without it, it just seems glaring that their uniforms aren't matched to everybody else.
It's, I mean, it's high school football, so I think there is a little more leniency to that. But it did come across to me, being how the movie starts, that the team doesn't really have a name. It's like, I guess it's not like the school mascot kind of thing. It's in the boot camp training that they kind of do that the Titans is brought up to be their name. So it's like they get to choose their name for that season.
I don't think that's usually how that works. Isn't it
Usually,
tied to a school?
yeah. So it'd be was it TC, what other school they're attending, but I don't know if that school is like the Titans or home of the Titans. Prior, I guess, to the, like, when Yost did the football season prior to this one. Because when they get to the school on September 4th, they do take down like a sign or like a sheet over the name of the school. So I don't know if that's like newly established.
Ryder, you got any input on it?
I don't. Like I said, I only know the NFL. I don't even know colleges. This is my experience with high school football. This in Riverdale, so I'm not the person to ask about high school football.
Okay, I guess any reason you could find for them not to have logos like the other teams
I
did?
mean, the only one I could think of off the top of my head is just that they didn't fund Coach Boone's team because you do have to replace uniforms and stuff like that. They don't uniforms don't last the full season usually, um, but yeah, my best guess is that they didn't fund Coach Boone's team. Even then, though, it's a logo, so I my issue with it is like my quote unquote damage with it is just that it is a subjective nitpick. I don't really have it's not the missing logo is not really at any point addressed in the film as relevant. So I guess that's all I got for you on that one.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I don't know if high school teams really necessarily have logos on the uniforms and it's just like colored to the school.
Well, I mean, just in this movie alone, all the other teams had logos. So just going off the
Yeah,
movie
but
alone, it's proven that it does
okay.
happen. And then I know my school did. That's way later. It's
Okay.
50 years later than when this took place. Um,
Okay,
but
best
still,
I got then is
40
that
years.
Titans weren't the school like mascot or name or anything prior to this season.
I'm having it as a nitpick because I don't think the film delivers a reason to why it's not present. We can assume stuff. They weren't given a budget. They were neglected. School didn't have anything at all, but none of that is delivered through the film. So have it as a nitpick.
Okay. I'm curious, the two of you being far more historians than I, how did you both appreciate the story of the Battle of Gettysburg?
You want to go
Ryder,
first,
you want to go?
Crimson?
Or?
All right, host. Who's
That's
going
good.
first?
The Crimson.
Crimson. Okay. I mean, with how they represented it, they didn't really represent all that much. I did like the speech of him tying of them fighting as young men and the blood that was spilt here with the fog and all that. I think it was a good speech. Um, but that's kind of to the extent of it. They don't really do a lot of historical ties to anything, nor should it. It's kind of just a motivational speech at the end of the day.
Okay, and Ryder?
Um, as someone who did do a deep dive on the American Civil War, I liked it. I enjoyed it. I do think that the motivational speech serves a purpose. The two people that it focuses on is Gary and Yoast for me, and I think those are the two characters that need to be focused on, considering Yoast is about to uh, properly have a change in his character a little bit later, and then Yoast as well, because Yoast's and Boone have not had they have a functional relationship, but they still don't necessarily have an understanding. And I think this helped ground Yoast into fully understanding what Boone is trying to do. Because I think he was on board with it just because he was the head coach. But at this point, I think this is what sold him like 100%. Okay, like this is the right thing to do for this camp. Because he was hesitant to tell him, like he was hesitant to even go on the jog with him at the beginning of the day before they left. So I do think it serves a purpose in the story. I think the speech itself is a simplification of the battles of Gettysburg, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. To draw parallels to what they're doing currently, is that the fight against racism and tyranny, oppression, etc., is a timeless thing to hold to is a timeless value to hold. So I think it's an effective speech in that way as well.
Gotcha. I guess my 2 cents. I thought it was great. The connection to the team at the time, connection to historical event to show it has happened before, and history is damned to repeat itself unless there's a change and a broken pattern. So I think it was a good, really good motivational speech to the team of that moment. Now, whether they retain, hopefully they retained everything, being they were woken up at 3 a.m. But
I would definitely make the argument that Gary and Yoast did. I assume Ray was just standing there dumbfounded.
yeah, let's go to writer. The next point.
All right, I will go. I guess with one of the more scenes where I don't view it as necessary, but
Oh,
the the gay hippie quarterback that kisses Gary. I don't know if that scene is
Sunshine.
necessary. Yeah, I don't think that scene's necessary for the film, honestly. I
Not
can't tell if
really. Doesn't
yeah
really
I
go
can't
anywhere.
yeah I he can still be a hippie without needing to kiss a man. And if the intention is here to convey that he's gay, I think that they could have handled that better too. It's just because it doesn't have any relevance to the rest of the film. It just feels like it's shoehorned in here for no other reason other than just to be here.
Well, yeah, like the scene where the girls are like ogling at him, and then I don't remember which teammate says, "You
It's
talking about
Pete, I
sunshine?"
believe.
Oh, Petey, yeah. Um, could have said, "Ladies, you're barking up the wrong tree," or something to reference that, so it's not
Yeah,
just
it's from.
this weird one thing.
What do you think?
Um,
PD's stating that anyone from California is gay.
I mean, you could interpret it that way. I don't think necessarily that's implicitly being stated like that, but you could read it that way if you wanted.
Because I think I like the locker room scene because I think it does a very good job conveying the changing relationships we have. I don't know his name, but 73, the big Chungus kid,
Oh, Laskin.
Louis,
Louis.
yeah, that was his first
Yeah,
name.
Louis Laskin.
Like yeah, Louis Laskin, like how he's like just make friends with everybody, and you know how Gary is insulted at first when they're throwing insults around, and Julius kind of grabs him by the shoulder and defends him, but also kind of clues him into this is just how they're bickering, so that so that Gary doesn't get offended. Which again, that was really subtle. I love that bit. And Sunshine, it's Sunshine's first day in there, so him like introducing himself to PD and having to shave off his long hippie hair. I think that it's all works and it's a very functional scene. I just felt that particular part was over the top. And my issue with is that it goes the kiss being over the top is just it plays no relevance at any point in the film. If it did have any relevance, I'd probably feel differently about it.
I'm inclined to agree. The only thing I got is maybe it was a historical event and they just threw it in there, but I have no idea.
Historical accuracy possibly pops up. It has a little more being that I think this is like Sunshine's introduction of character to the team, and to do something so supposedly
Drastic.
outlandish for the time,
Yeah.
drastic, yeah. Which also adds a little humor because I think when Julius hears the news that Gary got kissed, his facial expressions taking in that news, I think is really well done. But
Yeah.
then it also goes into Petey being very concerned. It's like, okay, you're my roommate. I need to know.
Yeah.
And then
Like I
how
said, I
Sunshine goes about that of like how to express like just ask me plainly like what do you got like very calm, very zen. So
yeah.
I think it's actually just more build off and good introduction of Sunshine's character.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think it's useless. I just wish that it was better
It justified
integrated.
its presence.
More came
Yeah,
out of
it
it.
was. Yeah, either more came out of it or it justified its presence a little bit more. Because I'm agreeing with Springs that is all funny. That is a point. There is a point to it. It's not useless. I just wish it was more useful because it's a pretty dramatic scene. The way that it's played off. The fact that it doesn't go anywhere, I think, kind of adds to my feeling towards that particular scene. Because it's
Okay.
not useless.
Would you have liked later in the movie Sunshine turning down a girl from a date?
If that could be incorporated without it being over the top or feeling messy, sure. Yeah, I would be totally fine with that. He could be, all the cheerleaders like him, so maybe a few of them try their luck to ask him out, and he turns them down.
Okay. Do you think it's connected at all to going to the restaurant? Since that was Sunshine's idea.
I don't see that as connected because the difference between him being a hippie, he receives a very particular kind of discrimination, but he was never like kicked out of bars. So that's Sunshine not understanding the racial inequality that's still going on because to him they're just his teammates, they're his friends at that point. So
Yeah.
it does demonstrate
Just
a
free
level
love.
of yeah, yeah. And like I said, I uh my best interpretation of it is that it's a hippie kiss, which is totally fine. I think it the kiss itself functions better if it is that. But he lays down some, pretty heavy dialogues like, yeah, you know what I want. The same thing that you want. Like he's flirting with him without flirting. There's just layers to it that I think need to be tweaked, I think, in order to either make it better or justify its place more.
Okay.
Something for me, assuming we're done with that topic. Am I good to
I have
move?
nothing more to add.
Well, I guess my only last thing is, do you think Sunshine is gay?
Based on that, based on what happened in the field, the scene and the dialogue, I would lean towards yes. Um, and again, it's not a bad thing. Because I actually quite like them adding a gay character onto the team because they're already dealing with so much, like so many social issues that adding, a gay person on the team doesn't seem like it adds more to the diversity of the team, which I think is to its strength. Um, so I would go towards yes on that front, just because of how the dialogue is conveyed in that scene. Um, and if it was just a hippie kiss, I think they would need to tweak the scene a little bit more.
For me, I'm leaning no, because I think they would have leaned into it more if that was the intention. Maybe him hitting on a teammate later or something, referencing back to it. Uh, if not, then I kind of just view it as a weak in- inclusion if that is the intent behind it.
Okay. I'm also leaning no, kind of on the same aspect of Crimson, that there wasn't more to it throughout the film to lean into that. But I do kind of see it as that free love mindset, um, hippie kiss, as you said, writer. Uh, Even though with the words of dialogue, maybe that's more of the humor of the scene, uh, to get to know the team. I mean, his locks just got cut off, and he's very much looking at the mirror at himself of that whole change. But his immediate response to Petey is like, "Oh, it's all good, we're fine." But that doesn't mean that emotion is completely out of him. It's just like, look good for the team, like make friends. So maybe that's like kind of the same thing to Gary. It's like still make friends, and like kind of that jump because of what's currently in him, like that turmoil possibly. Uh, so I just see that as like the free love expression, like don't turn to anger, turn to love, which is like a hippie mindset.
Yeah, which is funny enough. It contrasts immediately to what happens afterward, is because he's clearly got some combat training because his dad's in the military, which is funny because he just kind of throws Gary around
A little,
when Gary's trying to punch him.
yeah. Okay. Crimson, you said you wanted to go
Yes,
somewhere else.
that's right. So I don't know how it would have been integrated. It might cause pacing bumps, but there might be a world where they integrate it well. I kind of would have preferred more training sequences in between the games because I felt like we kind of lost that part of the team. And it's kind
Yeah,
of brought up later by Julius is like, you push us so hard to be the perfect team, and then I'm just thinking, I haven't really seen that in like the last half hour. I kind of would like to see a bit more of that, like maybe pre-practice before a game and the opposing team seeing how hard they're getting pushed and stuff. Something, because
Do you
there's
get
just a noticeable gap of it.
do you get a little bit of it in the like home video montage?
Not really. If I'm thinking of what you're talking about with the daughter and Boone on watching the footage, or
To,
No, no, no,
to,
no, no.
to,
When I think it's Alan picks up a camcorder and he starts like
oh,
recording,
in the
and then
montage.
the montage showing like the home video recording. I think some of
to,
those show
to,
like skirmishes.
I don't think not Titans on Titans. Like that's not training. It's more of
No,
just the
those are
games. I think.
games. Yeah.
Okay, those are just the games to
That
time
being
jump.
said, though, Crimson, I'm in agreement. I do think they should have added in another training element, and I think very importantly, one of the most important parts of a team is that the defensive coach and the offensive coach do end up pitting their halves of the team against each other for training. And I think that's ripe for drama considering it's Coach Yoast and Coach Boone and their relationship throughout the film. So it'd be really good to have them kind of do a versus in training.
So I think that's a missing element. The only negative I could see to adding that is a potential pacing thing, but I think a good writer could work around that.
Yeah. I'm kind of in agreement that's the only thing that I think it could ruin is the pacing, but I think it for that stuff, or at least the scene of it, I think the benefits would easily outweigh the pacing, probably. Um, because there's a lot of rich character stuff you can pull from that. Either from the versus suggestion I gave or from the current state of the team or anything else. Like they're training extra hard for the championship or something to that effect.
Plus, it would be a better contrast to when they change it up to their whole like singing and dancing warm ups, because we don't really get a comparison of what their normal pregame warm up is. We just get, Coach, we're switching up our warm up, and then we get the sequence.
I suppose that's true. Okay. Um, let's see where I want to jump to, since we've been jumping all over the place. I guess just to check what the two of you the two of you know who Jerry Lewis and Dean Martin are?
Dean
Uh,
Martin, yes. Jerry
by,
Lewis, no.
by name.
Sad.
I did refer to them in my notes for those characters for about half my notes before I just change it to their given names, their real names. Was that your point or like a baby point?
Well, a baby point, because I'm looking through my notes trying to find another point, and I'm seeing things we've already gone over,
All right, I'll go.
or just
I'll
quotes.
go while you
So,
keep looking. I'll go while you keep looking.
all right, go ahead,
I got
writer.
one. Um, I'll jump to Louis Laskin's kind of arc in the film of how he's so dead certain to like he's not gonna get into college. He's here to have fun, and the coach like laughs. He and Boone share a laugh when he's like introducing like his roommate to everybody else on the team. I quite like that when Bone, gets quieter. He's like, okay, I understand, but come to me for your grades and stuff like that, and I want to help you out with this too. And it's such a small thing, but I love that both that Boone was willing to help him jump beyond football, because obviously it adds layers to his character and what he views as important too. And Louis Laskin gets a payoff with it at the end when he hugged Coach's Boone because he passed with a C+, so that means he can go into college, which is it's a very small arc that happens through the film, but it's something I really appreciate because it just adds more to Boone and adds a bit to Louis Laskin, who's kind of the big friendly giant of the team.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think the end of the movie kind of does do a lot of those tie up things, which is good. Of the, uh, you got that one. You got the Emma befriending Julius, like a step in a change for her. You got the um, previous of like Alan being swapped out for PD, and this one like Alan voluntarily like takes the decision on his own to swap out PD. Um, there's one more.
Gary's mom being more accepting of African Americans, I
True.
guess.
I saw that as previous scene though when Julius comes over to visit.
And she hugs him, but we can also get a bit of payoff at the end where
Yeah,
she's
that's
hugging Coach
focused on
Boone's.
a friend.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we get a little bit more at the end too when she hugs. I think it's Coach Boone's wife at the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Oh, PD and Yoast. That was the other thing. Had their little talk before going out on the field.
Though I don't think that was really resolved. It's kind of circumvented.
They have,
Okay.
adds another layer too.
That
Is
was more of Alan and Petey than Petey and
adds
Yost.
another layer too. The contrasting coaching styles that clash a little bit in the film, but obviously, Coach Boone is a much bigger hardliner, and Yost is very much a he'll pull you aside when like be your friend to encourage you, whereas Boone will come down harder on you because
Good
those
cop, bad
two.
cop.
Yeah, well, not even just that. There's just two different coaching styles. Like there are people who prefer to be coached. They're very tough. There's oh, at the time this will be posted, I would say maybe 2 months ago there was a huge video that went viral of a women's basketball team of the coach pulling aside one of her players and coaching them hard. But as they say at the end of the game, like that's kind of what that player needs. That's what that player wants. So just kind of showing the different styles of coaching is also, I think, a huge benefit of the film because not every style of coaching is the same, and some players want to be coached hard, and other players want to be coached more softly, like PD.
Yeah. Hey. I did find a point, I guess, connected, piggybacking off of this, and then another one. The initial switch of the game for Allen to be traded out for PD. Do you think that won them the game? Because the movie depicts it as like that is the game change, but do you think that it was?
This is for the final or the
No,
previous one.
One of the
like the
first.
first. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it did win them the game.
With
Alan
how
kept failing guarding, so
yeah, one of their wide receivers was constantly open. That would have lost them the game. So I think if it did not win them the game, I think it shifted the game enough to allow Coach Boone to get down to the end zone enough times to score enough points. So it's yes with caveats, or it's just plain yes.
Okay. I think it definitely aided and helped in them win the game, so I would be on yes.
I think there's layers
But it
to it,
does
but my
bring up,
answer is still yes.
yeah, and then it brings up the thing of Alan's dad Herb just yelling like a madman.
sit down, little girl, or whatever he was saying to her.
Yeah, he's getting beat like a. I didn't write down the quote, but it's like he's getting beat out there like a crook who just robbed a bank or something.
I was worried I was going to be really annoyed with Cheryl throughout the film. I think she's probably one of the funniest characters in the film for me. She's
Yeah,
it's just she's so serious about football, and I just like it's both entertaining and funny, and I like it. She gets so frustrated at Ray when Ray knocks over the water table.
hey, you jerks. Uh, it's not necessarily a break of authenticity. It's just depicted a little differently in the movie. Yost actually has 4 daughters, but 3 of them live with their mom, and they were older. Cheryl's the
Oh,
youngest, I believe. So the movie doesn't ever touch that or even bring up Cheryl's mom, but I think it's fine. It's a story that doesn't need to be talked about
it's a
necessarily.
story that doesn't need to be talked about, and I don't need to know it because that actually just being told that actually fills in a lot of gaps as to why Cheryl latched on to her dad's obsession or her dad's profession, because all she has is her dad. Like her, you know, I don't think we see
Yeah.
Yost's wife at all in the film.
I don't think there's any photos.
Yeah. So that for me just adds a nice underlayer to what the film did with Cheryl and Yost's relationship.
Yeah, but I agree. Cheryl is quite funny. I think my favorite bit of humor from Cheryl is watching the reels at the Boone's house, and Coach Boone is like, "Why don't you go play dolls or accessorize?" And Cheryl just glares at him.
Such a oh man, I definitely laughed a little bit. Because Cheryl's so serious, so I have the same feeling about that scene where, and then the scene where she sits down at the coach's table and compliments Boone, like admits like you did a good job, Coach Boone, and Coach Boone's and
Yeah,
Yost Cheryl amused look at it over it.
yeah. Thank you for approval of a 5-year-old. I'm 9.5.
I'm 9.5.
It's good. It's good stuff. It's very as a writer, but also as someone who watches a lot of films. It's would have been very easy and unintentional to make Cheryl a very obnoxious character, but they rode that line really well between her being entertaining and enjoyable, but also still keeping the the absurdities and obnoxious childhood
Make
of being a
her,
9-year-old. Yeah,
yeah, the energy and expressionism, I
yeah,
suppose, of a 9-year-old, but also the passion. The passion didn't
exactly.
cross over to obsession. It didn't look like obsession. So, and I think she acted very well.
Yeah, good actress.
Speaking of acting, there was one part where Denzel Washington was holding back laughter. I don't know if you guys um, saw that at
I
all.
didn't catch it.
Possibly. I know there's a scene where he's smiling when he's sharing his lines, but I didn't see like out of character. Which scene are you referring to, Crimson?
It was. Gosh, I'm trying to find it in my notes again. I was hoping I'd find it by the time it was brought up.
All right. Well,
um,
while you're finding, I'll
yeah,
go.
hold on to it real quick.
um,
Yeah,
I'll talk about Julius and Gary. Their antagonism and also how they end camp is like the two most passionate leaders of the group. I it's a like a nice push and pull between them. How it's like when Gary pulls them aside, and they properly introduce themselves to each other because they're the two that got into a fight at the beginning, right? If I'm not mistaken, like they got into a fight over the poster.
Yeah, which I think I really like that the poster is showing like a podium of some black men raising their fist, and then when Julius goes to see Gary in the hospital, like being like, "You're the only one in there." That's what Gary shows to Julius, is
Yeah,
raising his
he's like
fist.
he's his brother, and I love it.
Yeah,
Thumbs up, 10 out of 10. You did a good job on the through line there, movie. um, but just to specifically talk about their transition at camp is like the flip when Gary yells at Ray because Ray is being Ray, and Julius notices that, and then they both try really hard the next play and sack the QB, and then they start like playfully hitting each other, and there's that pause, where Julius realized what Gary just did, and the coaches notice, and there's that nice, well-paced part of tension before they just start hyping each other up, and then it goes into the song, and everything's on the bright side, and you see Boone smile and Yost smile because they both realize, okay, everything's working now. We're getting there.
left
And
side, strong side.
yes, good shit movie. I really like it. And then obviously from that moment, right, to then kind of their last moment at camp together when the two of them are at the center of the group. They're asking each other questions which are almost uh they're tailored and understanding of how like because they're from quote unquote different races, right? The questions they ask each other still hype each other up, but they're acknowledging their differences but accepting each other. And then obviously that kind of brings the whole group together, and it's great, good. I really like what they do with
Yeah,
Julius and Gary.
even the
And then,
little scene they have when they're like going to the restaurant, and he's like, and Ray and Emma pull up, and he goes, "Oh, they'll go down there," and he goes, "What do you mean by they?" He goes, "Oh,
Yeah.
just them, like that." And he goes, "What? Who are you talking about?"
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Crimson. Got stuff
oh
to
God,
add, I'm guessing.
and then there's Ray, who's like, "What's your father's name?" That is, if you have a father.
Oh, what a scum! What a
what
scumwad!
what a dick.
Oh gosh. And the holding back laughter scene was the football not fun part.
Oh, with Petey,
Yeah. I
that
wonder how many
was
takes they did because it looked like he was holding back laughter.
I don't even think that maybe even if he was holding back laughter, I think it would still works for the scene. Good. I was
yeah.
about to
It comes
ask
across a
Crimson.
little like improv by how
Yeah,
fast it's going.
yeah. I do feel like it's half improv. Like they had a general idea of what was in the script, and then they just kept pushing the scene a little bit more and more. Good stuff. I agree.
Yeah,
Also, I'm happy you found a note, Crimson, because I was stalling like hell.
you weren't stalling; you were just giving different
I
points.
found it like 3 words into you interjecting. I didn't want to cut you off,
Well,
but thanks for the stall.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I
It was
guess
a
on
good point, I
the
think.
topic that was brought up, I so race topic films can be very particular for me. They can be really, really good, or they can be really annoying to me. I think they did a good job in this. The ones that tend to annoy me is if it's kind of like one-sided and kind of like a naive telling. But in this, both sides are racist in certain scenarios, and it's not just one. And I appreciate it when films do that. I think they did a really good job here with that.
I agree,
Nuance
showing
is
both sides of the story.
nuance is incredibly important when you're tackling a subject like racism because it otherwise will devolve into platitudes, cliches, and fairy tales. And that's a very dangerous thing to do when you are covering something as important as racism because if you portray, just
It'll
without
make someone the bad guy.
it will make someone the bad guy. And yes, there are bad guys. Don't get me wrong, but that exists on both sides. And
Yeah, you don't
to
want to depict the race being the bad guy.
yeah, and the more nuance you add, the more human the story tends to become. And again, to touch on what you're saying, Springs, it's okay to vilify a person, but you can't vilify a side. So vilifying Ray, thumbs up, makes sense. He's an individual, but you're not vilifying, you know,
White people.
the
Yeah.
white people because Gary is one of the most wholesome people there. Louis is one of the most wholesome people there. So it's even Yoast. Like Yoast has his reservations, but I would never say he's racist. Um, Nuance is, I think, the most important thing to have when it comes to telling a story about racism or any topic that can come across in with oppression, because obviously you can turn Nazis into cartoonist villains, like the Galactic Empire sometimes functions as, in a lot of more worse Star Wars content. But
Hydra.
yeah, Hydra too. But they also lose their effectiveness as villains if you cartoonalize them too much. Like if you make it if you don't add enough nuance, it can become a cartoon and it can start getting annoying. Um, so because racism is always a touchy subject, understandably so, I tend to lean on nuances tends to be the cure for that annoyance. For annoyances that can arise out of it.
Yes. I've been trying to think of an example that leans into that cartoony that I've seen. Have either one of you seen Umbrella Academy season 2?
Yes.
I
Okay.
believe yes, yes I have. Yes.
So if I say the cafe scene, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. I
Hmm.
think that goes to the cartoony.
Yeah. And I mean, I feel like it's Umbrella Academy as a whole. It's very like polar ends of things. It's not a very
True.
nuanced film
But
or
season
show.
2 does tackle that racism of the 60s.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that's a good comparison. So, good job, the team who made this film.
Disney.
Well,
I don't get Disney
yeah,
all the credit, but
Yeah, can't compliment them much these days, but I will give them credit where credit's due. They did a good job with this.
yeah, there were no Dumbo crows in this movie.
a little outdated.
That's a true, but uh,
I
the scene I really liked, or just to like go in more than just the football itself, is when Gary told his mom he's going down to the Berg, and she like doesn't accept it, and is like, no, you're not going. You're gonna go to church with me. And just that scene to show that Gary's home life is unaccepting of who he is now is affecting his game. Like that's on his
yeah
mind. And Julius is trying to point it out, and Gary's like, leave me alone, like, you know, kind of time and place kind of thing. I like that. That it's not just solely on the team, it's showing a team member's life and how that's affecting things. And they don't
yeah
have to show it of every team member of everyone's life of what's going on, but just like since Gary's kind of the main focus and the captain,
yeah.
how that
You can infer
yeah.
that it's affecting everyone else because as soon as the buses pull up, you can see the divide. Like all like the cars or the families are on opposite sides of each other waiting for their kids, right? And then obviously when they roll up to school and there's people protesting, reality sort of crashes back in. So we can infer that something similar is happening for everybody else like Gary. And
Yeah.
that does affect their gameplay because even you can see on the bench, everyone's exhausted and beat up. And even Coach Boone is like, we survived that game. We didn't win that game.
Yeah. If you survive camp, you will be on the team. If you survive.
Unless your
Yeah.
name is Ray.
Well, I guess Ray did make it out of camp.
Yeah.
They were in
But
a
obviously
game before
crossed the
Gary gets called.
moral line there
Yeah.
for Gary.
Yeah. And it reminded me again like Tyrell. Like it was just like one thing. It's like, no, I like all Gary said was you're out. And all kind of Yost said was like, hey, no, I want you here. I want you on my team. And that is met by like such a vicious malice from Ray and Tyrell in the scene. Like Ray drops a C word like automatically about Boone. And it's like, yeah, this is something that's been on your mind the whole time. You are racist. Get out. And the same with Tyrell, just being like automatically like, no, go to hell. I can't do this.
Yeah, because it's a topic that's fundamental to their belief
Yeah,
system at the time.
it's not a gradual. I kind of do like that. It's not a gradual climb of them like contemplating like, oh, which side am I leaning? No, they are stuck to God. They are this. They have not chosen to accept or change.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to characters changing, like their whole worldview, right? It takes a lot to get a character to the point of changing their entire worldview. Further, it takes a lot more to then just get them to change.
I think they did it very well with Gary and Julius.
I agree. That's why this
Point
good
those two
film.
out because of their screen time
Yeah,
and line
like
delivery and whatnot. But
they're the poster kids for the team, essentially.
yeah,
Um, but I also to kind of I guess go to one of my points, but piggybacking off of what you said, Sprinks, about uh Gary's home life is affecting his game. The transition then as well to when he visits his home and just straight up hugs Gary's mom. And Gary's mom is so unprepared for that because she's holding out her hand to shake his hand. But at that point, they're brothers, so he wants to, hug, he wants to hug his brother's mom. Very
yeah,
valid.
yeah. How do you two feel about the scene where Blue and Lastic called a team meeting and it wasn't Boone and Yost?
I think it's important that the team did it. The coaches can lead and teach, but the kids have to be the one to embrace the lesson and understand it themselves. So I think the fact that the two of them called the meeting And then furthermore, when they all start trying to walk out, it's Julius and Gary turning everybody back inside. Like, no, go listen to your teammates.
Yes, that is my nitpick with that. From
That
all they've been through, the whole camp, they've already gone through games. Why would a meeting being called by teammates have the like no name teammates walk out?
Well, at this point, there's we don't really know how much time has passed, but we know a fair amount has, and kind of like what you said, that the world around them is affecting them. They're not just in camp mode anymore. They are now being corrupted by their friends, their family, the world as a whole. And I think they show it kind of fracturing. So I'm not I don't have too much damage applied to members, no names, fracturing because they're just being influenced by their past now.
Yeah, I mean, to there are no names, and it's hard to perceive this, but obviously it is in the hallway. It is the team that's fighting there. Like those are parts of the team that are kind of infighting in the hallway when they think Petey is like chatting up someone's girl. Like that is the team that comes to blows, and Julius and Gary that pulls them apart.
Yeah, and I like that. Of course, Gary is keeping back like his race, and Julius is keeping back his, and they're being called traitors, but they're like keeping him at bay.
Yeah, because they're leading by example, which is very important, and I do think that
Yeah.
that leads into why uh, the next scene happens the way it does.
Okay. I just thought where like with Boone's instructions at the camp, like you will learn everyone, not just your roommate, but get to know everybody on offensive and defensive side, and
Yeah,
to stop the 3 trainings a day, and if they don't, it'll go to 4 kind of thing. So it's like incentivizes to do that. That everyone in this team, because this is immediately after the camp where they're all accepting and hugging and introducing each other to the family. This is after a couple games. This should still be like a team of brothers now, kind of like know of each other and everything. So it just seemed weird to me that because Elastic and Blue called the meeting, they wanted to leave rather than hearing them out.
yeah. Like I
Does it
said,
get confirmed that that goal was achieved at camp? That
I
they
had it when they come off the
lowered?
bus.
Okay, so it's not really stated that they lowered the training
No,
days because they succeeded
Boone
in learning each other. So,
Boone never does that, but we also don't see it go the opposite end. It doesn't get raised. But we also know that Ray is having a talk with Petey, but Sunshine is Petey's roommate. So that kind of shows that like it's not just roommate to roommate; other people are interacting.
yeah. I
without it being hinted or referenced that Boone's goal was achieved, I don't know if I can apply it because you're right. They didn't say that it wasn't because there wasn't a confirmed fourth training day.
Yeah, but it's also not just the names of people we know. It's not just like Blue and Alan or Gary and Julius. Like it just because the people weren't named or shown screen time doesn't mean they weren't doing it. Sure, maybe
So,
one person only did their roommate, but like everyone there at camp, I feel like would be doing it.
so is it on the film to establish whether or not the goal was achieved by the end of camp?
I don't think that one sole goal needed to be expressed to be achieved, but they're expressing it by how when they get off the bus, no one is against one another. The only one against is Ray, but it's shown depicted that way. But everyone
Uh,
else is like hugging each other, high fiving, introducing each other to each other's families.
Yeah, but it's not that consistent either because during the group meeting that we're talking about, they all like huddle in a circle and cheer and dance, including Ray. He's in there. He's not like to the side. He's part of the group dancing in there. Um, and I think that's just a failure of depicting Ray being on the outs in that scene, but that is an inconsistency.
That is probably the only
Well, Ray,
consistency with Ray
yeah, Ray
specifically,
is
because I
there
will
for
say
Gary.
in the previous scenes with like the team huddle, Ray is usually on the outside and he just looks awkward, like he's having issues being like can't believe he's there kind of look. But I will say that in that scene right there is probably the only inconsistency with Ray. Um, but yeah, I don't think it's on the damage letter for me, that particular scene, because I think the hallmark of it is just that what you said, Crimson, is that just royalty and the pressures of everyone's family is affecting their function as a team. So I do think that it is a necessary scene, I guess, to kind of reaffirm their bonds, and which leads them into going out and dancing together, which would be embarrassing maybe to some, but also it would be a sign of unity for them.
True, and also to express that to the audience and anyone showing up in the crowd, showing like the team is together.
Yeah.
It's not like just like the training of like defense, offense, kind of sticking to their own. They kind of militarized looking individual. This is like team camaraderie, dancing together. Are either one of you familiar with the Savannah Banana team?
Is that the banana ball team?
Yes.
I know a little bit.
Okay. I'm curious if at all any possible inspiration they got from this, of like work for like express yourself to the crowd as entertainment. Like they're there to see the game, but also like be entertained. Because the
Maybe.
Titans
I
are
mean,
warming up by
might be a
dancing, but
stretch.
it also kind of like a cheerleader show esque.
Like I'd say the Globetrotters would probably be more of an
Oh,
obvious
Globetrotters too,
parallel.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would agree. Yeah, it's not wouldn't be too much of a uh, like a leap for me to make that logic, because I mean, people are entertained by that, So
Yeah. You don't just need, give them the chair. I want to see blood. And like you do have those people, but also those who are like, oh yeah, I'm here for a show. So
So at timestamp 51 minutes and 47 seconds. This is during the first match where you have Petey now subbed in. Um, he picks up a fumble and then runs for a touchdown. I
in the
think
opposite
they have him
direction.
run the wrong
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Yep. He runs in the opposite direction. I have that written down too.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know how they screwed that up.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, he's just going to celebrate in the end zone, because I mean they can do that, but it didn't go the right way.
Yeah, because the ball was being thrown in the direction of their end zone because that's where the offense is going. And then he picked up the fumble and went the direction that the offensive team was going, which is their own side.
Yeah, that
So
is one of
all
he
the
did
bigger
safety then,
that
right?
is one of the bigger technical screw ups for the football here.
Crimson, you said it was 51.
51, 47-ish.
Yeah, I just
It's
want to check
Petey's first
the
tackle,
cut.
right?
It's when he picks up the fumble from, I think it was a tackle.
Yeah. I mean, even still, let's say he did go the right direction. I think it's just poorly edited then to
Okay.
convey that.
It could still be the right direction. The thing is, the camera prior is off to the left of the QB. Wow, this is me going into football reels. This is new. Um, the camera's off to the left of the QB, so it's centerized to the camera on the left side. So they got to run left by the camera depiction of where the ball's being thrown. And when it cuts to the fumble of PD tackling and getting the ball, he's then running right rather than the continual left, which is where previously shown that's where the zone is. However, pulling out from the fumble, we see that the other team and the Titans are like the Titans are running in the direction PD's going to the right. So I do think it's going in the right direction, no pun intended there, but going the correct way. It's just the camera work previously to this one is swapped, so it looks opposite, like he's running back to his own zone.
Would that be an editing or camera work issue for you then, Sprinks?
I would have that in. I feel like
Sorry,
there would be multiple
editing or
takes of it. Yeah, I feel like there'd be multiple takes done or things that were on the cutting room floor and taken out. So I'm going to put this on editing because it's a quick going left and then showing going right. I would not put
Okay.
that on the camera because the camera is still depicting the scene in its whole.
Okay. So it's not a technical football issue then. It's an editing one. I mean
Yeah.
I'm glad we
It
caught it
tricks
because
the eye.
it definitely tricked the eye. It looked wrong to me when I watched it and I wrote it down as well. Okay.
I feel like I need to re-see it because I feel like the momentum of the ball looked like it was going in the same direction.
Yeah. Because the ball was rolling on the ground, he grabs it and it just looks like he keeps running. That's how I remember it. But
Yeah, I'm looking at it and hang on. So the other team goes hut. We have their QB or their I don't know the guy going to their QB running back and the camera is on the back left, so like the southwest end of point, so it's on the left. And when he throws the ball and gets caught by his teammate who gets tackled by Petey, the camera is now on the right side showing the Titans team up against the boundary line, and then Petey grabs the ball and continues running to the right. So I do think that left right swap.
Hmm. And regardless, editing error or football error, it's a nitpick for me, whichever
Yeah.
one it may be.
No, I can put that as a
that's
nitpick to editing.
it'd be a nitpick for me as well.
Uh, I like the severity that, or to the authenticity if it actually happened, of Rev breaking his arm, breaking a bone, and then
Getting slammed. Yeah.
and their kind of Hail Mary to it is to put him in the final game. Like he's there and he's benched and motivating the team, but he's still injured and they still put him in, which is a nice like subversion of expectations of the other team
I
noticing why are they putting the injured guy in.
Well, I don't know if he's injured at that point. It had been a few months at that point, but um,
From the
even
games
if
we've been
you,
seeing, Rev has not been on the field.
yeah, well, I mean, they already have a good QB, so why would you need to put Rev back in? Arguably, Sonny is doing a better job, you know. So Rev might be on the sidelines just because Sonny took his position, and so he's now playing backup for Sonny, and then they put him in to also adding another subversion for how the trick play is supposed to work.
Well, and the opposing team expected him to be injured still, so I don't think he's been played since the injury. What I don't understand is the leap in logic of the opposing coach of he got swapped in and then he ordered his players to go far because he was expecting like a Hail Mary throw, I guess. I don't know how he got to that conclusion. I know he was probably stressed because oh my gosh, they just threw a curveball or whatever equivalent to football that would be.
Well,
Um,
there's two quarterbacks in. Then usually it is a good assumption that they're going to throw a ball. It's just a matter of figuring out who is going to throw the ball. In my time watching football, I've seen something similar happen maybe 3 times in NFL. So it's not that it happens regularly, but it does throw a curveball into the game.
Yeah,
So
not impossible, just improbable.
yeah,
and then doing a what was it 70-yard rush?
yeah. I mean,
That's how far they said.
yeah, I mean, I could just shrug at that. I've seen it. So in professional football, I think you're more likely to get away with it in a high school game. I will say this: you don't want your QB blocking for your other QB. That never happens in the NFL.
Yeah,
But
no.
high school, you'll get away with that.
Yeah, the members are stuck pretty much to their roles. High school, it's like
Yeah,
interchanging.
yeah. Everyone's figuring out where they can work their best, where they want to be, and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um, I would say, I think the craziest quarterback uh, play, the two quarterback play I remember seeing off the top of my head, is one of the QBs was in as a receiver, and the other one was logged in. Like the normal QB went out wide to be a receiver for the play, and caught a touchdown pass.
Wow.
It was pretty crazy. The NFL is, if you understand the sport, it can be entertaining and just some of the batshit insane things that occasionally desperate coaches will throw at the game.
Yeah, that sounds like it. Sorry, I had a point I was just going to jump to. I've lost it. I've
Well,
pulled a writer.
while
Oh, got it.
you're searching.
No, I got it. I thought it was definitely a little excessive, but Boone explaining the story of how he has like all these siblings. I think he said 12 siblings, all looking up to him, being the youngest at 15. I went, okay, that's a little weird that the youngest of 12 is the one being looked up to after the death of his parents. And then immediately tells Doc, like afterwards, oh, no, it was only 8. So he fibbed the story for inspiration because the 12 sounded better.
And then Doc is
But
like, yeah, 12 sounds better.
yeah. So I'm just thinking, like, is all his siblings looking up to him being 15, like the youngest of the siblings, also fabricated?
And hard to say with any certainty, but he didn't spell that out as being incorrect. But it very well could be fraudulent.
I
But Ryder,
will
you were gonna
jump.
go.
Yeah, I was gonna. Well, yeah. While you were finding something, I'll jump to something. I was gonna. The sabotage game with the refs cheating essentially.
Oh, Titus.
I
Yeah.
yeah yeah I quite like how more annoyed and Yoast is getting because you can tell he knows what he's going on from the beginning, but it's slowly grinding away at his patience because he's he's put effort into the team at this point. He wants them to win, and I think his frustration boils over in a reasonable way because obviously he would like to be the head coach again. He would like to be in the Hall of Fame. They're all selfish things that are very understandable for his character, but I like that it's pushing him over the edge just bit by bit, watching his team unfairly lose.
Yeah. To hold his honor.
Yeah. And so when he snaps and essentially threatens the referees, like I'm gonna take it, I'm gonna go public. I don't care what happens to me. That's very. It is a brave thing for him to do, and it is. I think it culminates into a very good rallying speech. He's like, I don't care if we get flagged. Go beat them up, pretty much. make them hurt. Make them remember the Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of the final straw for him was seeing his daughter upset. Do you guys think would have still gone through with it if he never saw her like that? He would have eventually still intervened?
I
I
I
think so.
think so. Yeah. I
Seeing the team
Yost
be
is
beat up, how angry Boone was yelling at the refs, seeing the board members on the stands just staring at him blankly.
yeah, smirking. One of them is smirking at him. So,
Yeah.
and also I think just his players too would eventually gotten to him. Yeah. I do think his daughter was it's for the drama, and it's just kind of cuz his daughter is his moral
Wingman.
center. Yeah, and his wingman. So I do feel like that using his daughter demonstrating his daughter as like the final straw for him as proof that this is wrong in his heart, I think that's perfectly fine.
I agree. I think he eventually would have.
Yeah.
Leave no doubt.
Now, when it comes to things that are positive end on this podcast, I usually say like that was good, that's great, phenomenal. Or I like that, it was good, positive end. I love the hand home video montage. I think it fits so well. It is not redoing another montage previously of what they've done, of, just normal looking footage of the film. It's stylized to the era while also maintaining a time jump consistently of showing the positivity of the team, the neighborhood growth, the community appreciating and being accepting of the Titans. I thought it was great. It added humor of like Titans eat free and then that's erased off the chalkboard. I I think all of that in the montage was excellent.
What's an interesting thing for me on the montage there, right? Is the Titans eat free, and then we cut to Ray, or not cut to, we cut to Gary and Julius eating together, presumably at the place, and then we cut back to the chalkboard saying the like them erasing free, I guess, which is
Yeah.
a interesting way to flip it. I have a I don't know how to interpret that. That's my only question with the montage, but generally I'm okay with everything that happens in the montage. I think it's very good as well.
Oh, I
The
thought it was
I,
funny because it's not just showing like how they're not just like eating a waffle normally, like fork and knife kind of thing. They are folding it and compacting it so they can eat it as fast as possible.
Yeah, they gotta keep
I
on.
think
They gotta
the
keep the gains.
montage is okay. I don't think it's anything too wild. It's no Order of the Phoenix. I'll say that much. Um, but
Ugh.
uh, yeah, that's a great one. What was I gonna say? Oh, the part I did like about it is kind of what we were talking about with the Titans Eat Free. The one that wrote it was white, and the one that erased it was African American. So they might have seen the Titans as kind of like a traitor type deal. That's at least my reading of it. Why
That
it got erased.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
in a different way makes it better. That's cool that it starts off with our knowledge of the establishment being like, hey, you're not allowed in here, being owned by the white, and they put it down being establishment owners. Then an African American takes it down, showing they work there. So growth and change in the community. That's a small added
Oh,
detail.
okay. That's a good way to read it. Yeah, like I said, I wasn't sure how to read that because I had only seen the film once, shockingly enough. But if that's what happens, I think that adds a nice detail into the community growing together. Adds on even more to the good subversion of expectations as well with the police officer and Julius.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's great. Also, in that montage at 1 hour 15:50, there's a really cool clothesline, but I don't know if it's fully legal to do in a high school game. But
Oh darn! I was gonna make a joke. Clothesline. Were they drying their jeans?
yeah, a guy
Uh,
like does a backflip.
The Field of Jeans, as they call Levi Stadium. Um, I'll um, I'll jump to uh, I think Gary getting hurt was well done in terms of like it's a shock to the audience, but he also concludes a lot of things previously, sets up why Julius would feel guilty, and obviously the parting words with Emma is like, hey, will you be there at the championship game as they reconnect because Emma's gonna promise to try. A lot of good stuff happens, and I think they set up in this subversion with I don't know if it's a subversion, but the shock of Julius getting injured. I think it was Gary getting injured was really well done.
Yes,
I thought it was
I
okay.
have.
I kind of predicted something was gonna happen to him because of
Yeah,
that whole talk he
yeah,
had with
I
Julius.
I
I,
have
I did think as well. Yes.
question to pose on it. I don't know of the authenticity to it to real life events, but Julius being the last one to arrive to the hospital, so the camera can pan and show the whole team there, felt a little movie moment. Being that
It,
Gary would only allow Lewis to see him, and or Julius is the last one to arrive.
Especially since they
It
were all in the party together.
Yes,
it
and
is a
like
movie
someone didn't
moment.
get Julius, or maybe he was with the girl he was seeing, so they didn't
Yeah,
know where
I think
exactly he was. But
that would be my best faith interpretation is he snuck off from the party and went with the girl and got told later, so he would learn to after everyone had, and so that's why he arrived late. I think that explanation works, but it's still a movie moment, so
okay.
I will say though that I think they do a phenomenal job character writing and acting, both between Coach Boone being straight with Julius as to what happened with Gary, and then immediately Julius goes to Gary's mom, and Gary's mom is the one that kind of tells him to be brave and is able to talk him up into going to see Gary.
Yeah, giving Julius some motherly love.
Yeah,
It's very nice.
it's a nice touch because it shows how far she's come because she has a tiny through line as well in this story.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing she says to Gary about it, like hanging out with Julius, is like, "What would your dad think if he was here?" Like holding on to his memory, but then, he isn't there.
Yeah,
So
and yeah, we kind of already touched on the scene about him going inside to see Gary, but it just for me it really sorry, big noise. For me, it really the scene came together with the mom. I think there was I think it helped added the gut punch because obviously the mom is also probably feeling more devastated than even Julius is, but she had to pull herself together to help pull Gary to pull Julius together to go see Gary, and that's a I might be reading a lot into the scene, but it's a very very like big like good demonstration of what like parenting is. You have to pull yourself together for your kids sometimes, you know.
yeah, no, I agree. And Crimson, you think it's just okay?
The I guess surprise of him getting wounded is just okay. The whole interaction in the hospital I think is good. The whole just setup to the incident I think is just okay.
It you can see it coming. I mean, I definitely felt the tension, especially when he was in the car and people were cheering for him and he wasn't watching the run. I'm like, I know where this is going, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the car
In
crash
fact,
did look fine. Like a
yeah, except
decent
the
car. It
dummy
didn't look
that they put
fake.
in there. Dummy
Yeah.
didn't look good. But hey, $30 million budget, they couldn't afford a lifelike dummy.
Well,
Had
it's
to
a
settle for Buster.
small scene.
I would have
Uh,
taken Buster.
I do like
Thumbs up for getting that
the.
reference, Crimson.
But which
Hey,
Buster? There's a few of
I
them.
know, I know MythBusters.
Hey, high
Hey,
five to you as
I know who
well.
you're talking about. Uh, I do like the humor scene of Gary yelling in the hospital watching the final game, and the nurse comes in to check on him.
There's
It's like, get
no,
out of
don't.
here! Like just
Yeah,
screaming in a hospital.
yeah.
strong.
It's a football thing. People will yell at the TV, so it's just nice. It's Gary would feel even more invested because it's his team, you know.
Yeah, and he can't be there,
Yeah.
even though, as you said, he was there. But
In history, yes, he was there.
uh, I have a question to pose to the two of you. If
I might have an
not the
answer.
final game, yeah, not the final game, but the racist team, the one that we discussed swapping to be the final game. If that coach shook Boone's hand, do you think Boone would have kept the banana on him?
I
Hard
think
to
it's within Boone's
say.
character to not give the banana. I
Yeah.
think he's pretty good at giving chances and seeing per- people growing. Uh, Now, obviously, he had the banana because he was expecting
Yeah,
not to
prior,
go
yeah.
well. Um, but if it had, and there was this handshake, I think he would have kept it.
Okay. I think that's where I'm at as well.
Yeah. I think there is a version of Boone that would have tossed it, but Boone never came across has demonstrated like a petty character trait. So if he was shown to be a little bit more petty earlier in the film, I would be able to buy it. But I would have I would have viewed it as out of character if he did toss him the banana in this case. So I'm
What
very
if
glad he didn't.
what if he shook hands and then ate the banana himself?
Well, that
Um,
would kind of be supporting the point of the guy.
Yeah.
yeah. So I do think there's if he did shake hands, I do think there's a version of this where he didn't toss him the banana. But I think it works here very well. I think.
Okay. Crimson, let's go to you.
So, on Ronnie's introduction scene, or Sunshine, um, he throws the football in what, uh,
Into
Gary's
Gary's
back.
back.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's blanking the name. On Gary's back, and I was just thinking, was it coincidence that it happened to be him, or did he know he was the one he should have hit?
It
Oh,
was
I think it's
coincidence.
totally coincidental. Yeah. He was just
No,
trying to hit someone on the team. I think he was
just happened
aiming
to
for
be the head
Gary,
honcho.
but I don't think it was he knew.
Okay.
I quite like when their original QB goes down and Sonny goes in. Sonny already has a plan to get the other team back for hurting his teammate, and
Let him
Oh
get
yeah,
through.
yeah.
the yeah, and I love the coach gets mad. It's like, hey, the unintentional roughness or whatever. It's like on the quarterback. You kidding me, coach? Good
Yeah, that was
stuff.
funny.
Good
So
stuff.
that's a totally
But
legal thing to do. Legal move.
tripping, not anymore. In the early 2000s, absolutely. I think you could get away with
Oh,
that.
this is depicted in the 70s.
Yeah, this film was in the 2000s, and it's depicting in the 70s. I think you can get away with that. Yes. Today, though,
Okay.
absolutely not. There are a lot of NFL rules now trying to protect their players, and I don't think they would have allowed that.
Go watch rugby.
No, rugby's awful.
I don't think I've seen a single rugby game, so I couldn't say.
No, my cousin did rugby.
I'm in the UK. I walked into a bar one day and watched the rugby match and thought it was awful, and I finished my drink and left.
Time to watch
Oh,
some cricket.
I would prefer cricket, and I obviously would prefer baseball to cricket as well. But
yeah,
neither
don't show
here
me
nor there.
cricket. I've seen
Uh,
cricket. No, thank you.
Thought rugby would be more entertaining than cricket.
Yeah, rugby is more entertaining than cricket. I will say that.
Interesting. Uh, it's not huge. It's not on my damage ladder. It's just something I noticed, that small little gripe. But when Gary is talking to Emma, and Emma says, Gary, it's just going to take me a little more time accepting this. My priorities were off, not yours, kind of thing. And wishes him goodbye, and he goes, "Can you make me a promise that you'll be there for the last game?" She just looks at him and walks away. She doesn't make a promise.
I think she nods. I, I,
I think she just kind of like smiles and turns around.
It's a reassuring yes smile, Springs.
Well, yeah, I know it's like she didn't say no, but it wasn't. I mean, I just feel like she could have said like yes, I promise, or yes, or something along those lines.
I think she does enough though
I
to
think it was
convey
like, I'll
the
think
answer.
about it.
I don't know.
Okay.
I think she does enough to convey the answer. I don't need to die in dialogue for that.
Okay. I got the expression from that being, "I'll think about it," because she said she's still like turning there and said goodbye to Gary. So it's like I'm just not there yet.
Did they break up or unbreak or nothing at all? I couldn't
Were
really
they ever?
tell
I
what
Well,
was
I
think
guess
they
I'm
happening.
like, were they
I
ever
think they're
dating? I guess they were,
I
but
think they were dating. I don't think they broke up. They're just going through a rough patch. And they're slowly getting over it. Because Gary's a new
sure.
person now. He's a better man.
Yeah. Is it poorly written, I suppose, that the only use of them saying "I love you" to each other was for a joke?
I don't think so. I mean, we don't get a lot of scenes with them together, and when they do, it's to um, depose each other ideo- ideologically. That's the word.
I think it works with I know with the training camp phone call. I think that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. I just find it a little interesting that it's like they're at the point of a relationship to say they love each other, but it's for that scene where they say it, where we then get like introduction of Emma and Gary as a couple, that they're at that stage, and there's nothing else that comes out of it because of Emma's intake on racism. Like that, like Gary's change of accepting Julius and the team and all that is making her love him less, or they just don't say it to one another. I just found that a little odd. Like their relationship in scenes together is sidetracked for the current event of racism at the time.
I think it's okay with how little screen time they share. My takeaway at the phone was I don't think his reaction matched where his character was at the time. He didn't seem pissed off that the African American people were laughing at him. And later he had to get held back because of a your mom joke. And that was past this when
That's
there's
true.
character growth. So his reaction here actually didn't mesh with me with where he's at.
Oh, that. Ooh, you know what? That's a good point. Maybe he doesn't feel that way for Emma.
Not the takeaway I was going for. What do you mean?
Well, it kind of shows with that if they can joke about that to Emma and he doesn't lash out, then he cares far more about his mom in a joke of almost lashing out than he does about Emma.
You can read it that way. I'm not going to read it that way. That is an interpretation. Any thoughts, writer? I guess regarding this whole phone bit.
I think he just doesn't want to appear unmanly in front of a bunch of other testosterone-filled dudes because this is high school. You got to remember that people are like
That's true.
super embarrassed about having public displays of affection, especially as in high school. So I can buy that they're together and he's just too embarrassed to say it. And he's just too embarrassed to say it.
Yeah. Um, Ryder, you brought it up earlier, and it's just a question I had. I don't know how accurate it would seem. I think it would be more, so maybe it's a little more movie moment. But when Boone gets home, very early on in the movie, and his wife says, there's people outside, or like go check front, and the streets filled with African American people cheering on Boone, like you're going to be the coach, kind of thing. Would that not have raised more alarm from the neighborhood, kind of thing? Like then they start like peeking out the window, like, oh my gosh, look what's outside. But all of them arriving in cars, taking up the street. Would that not have been a noise or an alarm or something to be like, what's going on outside?
There's a revolt
I'm like, I don't think.
upon
Yeah,
us.
I'm like, I don't think it was a surprise party where they're like, like being real silent until Boone opened the door.
It's definitely a movie moment. I can see it happening, but it would definitely raise concerns. I mean, because this town already had a fight over a teenager getting shot by the store, which is kind of what kicks off the start of the movie.
Yeah.
Um, so it's definitely a movie moment, but it's not impossible because this is a very small knit town. We kind of get the vibes, or at least they are super passionate about football. So you know, for for the African American community at the time, I can totally see them doing this. It's there
Oh, I can
has
see that too.
I do
To be
think
the
the
support
neighbors
and
would be
pulling up.
yelling.
Well, I think a
Yeah,
neighbor would have maybe called the police.
yeah. I think there would have been some form of fallout from it. Yes.
Okay. Yep. How is everyone looking on points to make?
It's kind of been everywhere, but I think I'm running down.
Okay.
I can probably get a few more. I'll need to check my notes though.
All right. Well, if we're getting to the low point, how about 2 more each? I'll do that.
Alrighty,
Uh,
host.
all right. Who hosted me? I get my own host card. I'm going first. Um, let's see. What have we not touched on already? Man, what have we not touched? Oh, okay. I guess something I'll touch on at the very end of the movie. Do you think the mustaches to make them look older are real or fake?
Te- Definitely
Probably
Julius's
fake.
is fake. Julius's I don't think look very good.
You think Petey's was fake?
Um, I don't even remember what his looked like. I might have been writing down stuff.
Oh, I think Juice and Petey had fake ones. They also dyed Yoast's eyebrows.
It's a little
Yeah,
weird.
his hair. I didn't like the hair that they put on the hairstyle they chose from there. Purely subjective, of course.
Yeah, it's just to make the team, I guess, look older. But some of the team members look
10
exactly the
years.
same because not much change. So yeah.
Uh,
Also, didn't they give like Julius like a receding hairline too?
Um, I don't think so. I'd have to look at it again. I don't think they
I didn't know
did.
if it was like a what's that hairline called? Where like the middle part is out, but the on the top, like the left and right, go in.
It's kind of like a widow's peak, but not a widow's peak, right?
Yeah, I think
Uh,
Jack Nicholson has it in like his early film careers. That was his hair look.
yeah,
Joker in Arkham Asylum has that hair look.
yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know what
Yeah,
it's called though.
yeah. I think Julie's had that hair look at the funeral scene. Okay,
I
let's go to writer.
yeah, okay. I will jump to um oh, damn it, I lost my notes. God damn it, where is it?
I can cover.
Go ahead, yeah.
Defend, defend, defend.
Okay, all right. So I'll talk about the press conference and the conversation leading to it between Boone and Yo. I liked it. I thought that was a very solid conversation that they had between each other, and 'cause a lot of it's been Boone, 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 Boone's on top, Boone's correct, and I liked Yost kind of giving him a perspective that he doesn't see to himself, where it's kind of now more of a selfish angle, and then he later brings it up with his wife that it's things are kind of like um, gray for
It's a
him
good
now.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, so I did like how they approached that to where they're it still seems like friends talking, but it is a professional setting. So I did appreciate it.
Their relationship dynamic is pretty great as friends. Like it's very tense. Like there's clearly still a forming friendship there, but they don't know how to react to it quite yet. There's some tension there, but I like, yeah.
Agreed. I
Uh,
like that. I think I wrote in my notes what I called that. Boone's hard truth to Yost over patronizing. Yeah,
yeah.
of going back on like what he was doing with Petey.
Um, my point that I found was actually to touch on the music. Um, not the sound, not the score. How do you define
The
it, Springs?
score or the soundtrack.
Yeah, how do you define it?
Soundtrack has vocals, score is like instrumental.
Score is the music made for the movie. Soundtrack is songs chosen that are exist to be in the movie.
Okay. The soundtrack I think is used well in the film because it's used to help distinguish like the difference of cultures here, and also helps to when the cultures start uniting a little bit more. It's a good
Soul.
metaphor. It's soul. It's a good metaphor for what's going on as the team comes together. Usually, obviously, it culminates into the soundtrack of them singing together. But
Yeah. Also,
um,
music of the time. Keep
yes,
that authentic.
also music
They're
of the
not
time.
using like some pop thing from the '90s kind of thing.
I do like that PD hates Ryan Gosling's character's music.
Oh, that's Blue.
It's Blue.
Yeah, Blue did not like Alan doing like country music.
Yeah, which I'm with Blue on that one. But personally, I also it shows that the different musics that both cultures listen to, and then it kind of gets while the country music doesn't get lost. Alan still starts singing in with the rest of the team. Like they all sing together as like as having fun and unity, even before they got on the field to do their entrance.
Yeah, he's dancing in the locker room.
Yeah, and it's one of those through lines that I'm usually kind of it's hard for me to like when characters are singing in the film sometimes, unless it's like a musical or something specific, like it's an artist like focused film. I do think they do a good job of it here to make it, while it is a
Genuine.
gimmick, they use the gimmick to good effect and make it feel authentic, and then make it feel genuine. It adds a camaraderie between everybody.
I fully agree. Because something they can latch onto and understand and agree with together is probably music, or to a point of music.
I guess on the topic of music, a negative note I had written down regarding the music is the credits. Um, the transition between the like where they went, I guess, the historical facts section into the credits, I didn't think was well transitioned at all.
Yeah, it's a little jarring.
Yeah, it's abrupt. It's not smooth. I think it was poorly edited.
I can agree with that as well. It does kind of just like hard cut, like a 1 second fade to then go into the credit music.
Yeah, it was a very short fade. It was not good.
Uh, I guess my take. I think the soundtrack and the score are both very good in the movie.
I think the soundtrack was good. The score, I think, is very average.
It's for the
Nothing
movie.
really
It
stood out.
works. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, it's reminiscent to me of like Apollo 13. Not to sound the same, but like my pitch on that, like the score was really good.
Yeah, it fits the film, but if I was to hear this outside the movie, I don't think I could tie it to this movie. It's not
Oh,
really unique.
it's one of those things where like this score in this movie could just be interplayed with the last scene in Olympus Has Fallen. And you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
it fits.
I mean, it's got like the snare drums and stuff that could fit in like a military type movie.
If I
Yeah.
hear every time I hear a hey, 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 goodbye, I'm gonna think of this movie now. Probably.
Oh, no, 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 no. Uh, to me, I think the score of the movie really sounds like a 2000s movie, like early 2000s, late 90s.
Yeah, you don't hear too much like this now.
No, that kind of slow build of a like a big band kind of noise or orchestral. I mean, Hans Zimmer did it very well, or was it Hans Zimmer? I think Hans Zimmer for Pirates with the One Day, how it starts very slow before getting into like the crescendo and building.
Mm.
Um, for that, I think the same thing kind of here. Like it starts kind of that slow and then gets to the triumphant and victorious sounding tune for the scene. Now, I should have probably looked up who composed this movie
I'll look it up.
because it would be okay. I'm like it would be wild if it is Hans Zimmer.
Doesn't really feel like his
No, it
stuff.
doesn't sound like him, but
Trevor Rabin. Let's see. What else has he done?
Trevor Rabbit. I do not recognize the
A
name.
new name to the podcast, because I don't recognize it either.
Yeah, I'm gonna look up
Oh
his.
my gosh. Oh my gosh. I can't believe this if this is true.
Oh my
We
God!
have heard
I
Trevor
know.
Rabin's music before on the podcast.
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about, Sprinks, because I just looked up his filmography.
Crimson, you would not believe that Trevor Rabin did the music to Jack Frost.
To Jack Frost.
To Jack Frost.
All right. Well, we haven't covered that on the podcast yet.
No, no. That was a
I'm
joke.
holding back.
That I did
That's a
for you.
joke. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We
But
both are on the same page, so.
but I will say, this music in Remember the Titans, I would not say really sounds like the other thing we know him from.
No, it does not.
Like, it didn't come together for me. But
Yeah, I'll so to not leave you in the darker Crimson. He helped compose the score for National Treasure.
Yeah, different feeling.
and Con Air.
Interesting.
Only
Where's
one
Nicolas
other
Cage
one.
in this?
He's gonna. That's the next one. That's the Madden movie.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, about 20 plus years in the making. If it's compared to this, but all right. I think I've touched on everything in my notes. Anyone else have any last minute points?
Well, I guess my second point.
Okay, your second point.
Because I was just piggybacking the music. Is the where they ended up section of it. I don't think it was very well informed. Like they didn't even say if Yoast made it in the Hall of Fame or not. It's just like he retired 4 years later. Cool. Did he make it in the hall or did he not make it in the hall? Give us information.
Oh, I think that's okay.
I don't think so. I feel like it's an
You don't
important.
think so?
I think that's an important component to his character, and to I would imagine his real world counterpart. I think it's kind of important to if you're going to what happened to them. Did he achieve his goal of getting in the Hall of Fame?
Well, you know what, Crimson, if he's still around, why don't you call him?
You know
Ask
what?
him.
Maybe I won't.
No.
So I just found them kind of lacking in a general sense.
Yeah. I think my last note then is going to be for, I guess the celebration or when Yost tells Boone that he was the right coach for the right moment or the right time or whatever he says. I think it's something along those lines. And then Coach Boone says, "You're a Hall of Famer in my book," which I think is a payoff for both characters in that sense, because
Yeah.
they're both they both recognize each other. This is after they've helped each other, and I think it's a nice culmination and capstone to their now budding friendship, which was obvious before, but it's more plain to see now for the two of them.
Yeah. And I
And
think
it
it's good
works.
that Yost and Cheryl have that moment of like not being in the Hall of Fame, and Cheryl's upset about it, and it's like, yeah, I really liked it. That's not with Boone. Yet during this, when Boone's like, "You're always in my Hall of Fame," that shows Boone cared enough of Yost to know that. Like he didn't have to
He
be told it.
that he might have figured it out, or he could just be genuinely speaking from the heart. He's like, "Yeah, you're a Hall of Famer in my book."
Yeah. And both
It would,
instances of those two examples work.
yeah, and I think that's why it's a good capstone to their relationship that they have finished working together and they both complement each other in the correct way that both characters were striving for. Because Boone was always there to prove himself, and Yost acknowledges that at the end, and obviously Yost is chasing the Hall of Fame and gets acknowledged for it in a different way. Good shit.
I do have a hypothetical. What what do you guys think Boone's reaction would have been if he found out that Yoast knew that the cheating game was being fixed like halfway through? Do you think he'd hold that on him or anything? Or he's like, oh, well,
Considering
you corrected yourself halfway through the game. I guess you're good
Being
for me
that
now.
Yoast, I guess Yoast aiding
Yo-
was just not doing anything.
Yost was the one that rallied the team during that game, so I imagine Boone would have been fine with it at the end of it.
Yeah, because he was going with it for a while. It's not so it's
Yeah.
I don't know if Boone would take that personally or if he would see the end result of being okay. You went with the team and not your own goals.
I think
I think it
I
depends
think
on when that occurred.
yeah, I
If in
think
the moment Boone found out, being how much he's yelling at Titus the ref, then yes, he would have gone off on Yost. If it was afterwards and it was brought up, like in a conversation of like, hey, I didn't make the Hall of Fame because, and explained it, I think Boone would have been okay and a lot more civil with him in a conversation.
yeah, more or less I agree with that. It depends in the context of what it's brought up.
Okay, I'm pretty much in agreement.
Okay. Well, with that then, we'll go into summaries and ratings. I'm sorry, if you have any more points, save them for the recap. But we will start with two newbies and me. Let's start with Crimson.
Alrighty. So I'll start with my subjective as I tend to do. I was surprised by this film. Um, I've heard it's good. I have a coworker um, at my paying job um, that has recommended this to me as well. So he's gonna want to hear my thoughts on it. And I'm surprised to say I'm giving a 7.25 because I can't decide on where it's going.
Well, you
Okay,
can't do
I'm
that.
rounding. I'm rounding up for you because a 0.5 would
uh,
round it up to a 3, so you're going to 5. You're getting a
uh,
7.5 then.
7. I don't know. The reservation on it is purely because the ending for me. I
Hmm.
think if they did the pitch of making the end team the racist team, it would have culminated to a more satisfying conclusion. Because from my experience, it was very much a wet blanket. I didn't really feel much at the end of this movie. Uh, Game wise, character wise, I think they did good stuff, but game wise, it was not a satisfying victory for me. Uh, I liked all the characters. I loved Boone. Boone was a pretty cool coach character. I liked him a lot, and his dynamic with Yost was good. Whenever they were on screen together, I enjoyed it. Um, and as I mentioned earlier, with like racism topics in films, it's feast or famine for me, and it was a feast. I gobbled it up. I liked it. They did a good job. Objectively, overall, it's pretty tight. It is loosely based on historical events and based off of several examples of changes. I think it's totally within their willingness to swap these final two matches because they're willing to change points and removing a player and hospitalizing him, and they did a lot of changing in this or shuffling around of events. So I think it objectively would be in the movie's benefit to swap the two final teams. Character wise, I think everyone's consistent throughout their growth through the whole film. Some characters may not have gotten enough screen time, like Coach Tyrell, who kind of just popped in to be a little speed bump for Yost, but he doesn't need a lot of focus. He doesn't necessarily need a lot of focus. Um, I think that's probably one of the strengths of the film is that all the characters and their progressions are consistent.
I would say
The
Reyes has
only
the only nick I can think of, but yeah. Sorry.
what's Ray's inconsistency? I mean, I feel
Well,
like he was
he's
thoroughly a douche the whole
yeah.
time.
Well, there
Well,
was the joining the huddle.
Oh yeah, joining the huddle. That's right. I
yeah.
even pointed that out.
The school
Um,
huddle is probably the
yeah,
only nitpick I would have for a character, but yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that and Gary's phone call, I think his reaction to them making fun of him would be more of a hatred thing and not a awkward, embarrassed thing with at that moment his dynamic with the team. Other than that, everyone's very consistent. I think they did a good job with that. I think the pacing of the film overall is decent. I think a training sequence in the middle of the games they were winning would benefit the film because it's a heavy component in the beginning of how tough Coach Boone is, and then that kind of fades away once they're just winning games. So and the acting's good to great, music's fine to good. I'm at an 8. The movie did a lot of good stuff.
Oh boy, I'm gonna go next. We'll save right for last year. Subjectively, I like this movie. I really do. I think it's very good. It's quite enjoyable. Um, I've seen it multiple times. So I'll probably see it multiple times more. I have this at a 7.5. It doesn't fully like wow me like big thing. Like I'm not a big football guy. Um, the 70s is not really a time period I'm a big fan of. I would say like tolerable, fine with. Um, and being like that's a main focus of the movie. I guess if it was something I was more liking towards of other aspects of things with that, I'd probably like this a lot more like subjectively. But that kind of just probably is the thing that weighs down my subjective the most. But 7.5, I still really enjoy it. Very fun, really good movie. Objectively, I don't want to take things away from what Ryder's going to say or repeat what Crimson just said. I think the score and soundtrack is great. I think the camera work is good. There's the one that we pointed out, but I don't think that was on the camera. That's on the editing. The editing overall is pretty good. The acting, I think, is very good amongst everyone. Denzel really stands out, of course. Yoast was the weirdest one for me when it comes to acting, because I'm like, I don't. It just looks like a guy. Like, I think his acting is so well done. He doesn't come across as like someone who's acting. Like that to me just feels like a high school, like just a guy doing his coaching.
Did you
Um,
recognize the actor from anything?
no, nothing really came to mind.
Uh, I recognize him from Armageddon. I don't know if he's in other stuff, but
Oh, I haven't seen Armageddon for so long. Um, I mean, Ryan Gosling didn't really stand out as an actor in this movie. I think it's kind of background.
Yeah.
Gary did a
On
really good
the
job. Julius did a good job. Sorry, Ryder.
yeah, I was gonna make a joke on the range of Alan to Dr. Ryland Grace. I would say he's done a good job improving an
I would say
actor.
he's had an Allen. Yeah, he's a little better than the Goosebumps episode "Say Cheese and Die." So I think that was the one he was in. Yeah, Julius, Gary, Blue, Louis, Petey, Rev. I think they're all pretty good actors. Ray came across with the scenes he had and what he got. I think he did come across as this like racist, internal kind of guy. I know he's like Gary, you're gonna throw away our whole friendship for this. He didn't really come across as being a friend to Gary. I don't think he was just kind of around Gary. So maybe that's one thing I would have probably tweaked if that was like the reason he was kind of there to more for that. The Emma stuff I think was good, but the relationship was a little sidelined for the events. Cheryl I think is very funny and very good. Um, Costuming I think is good. There was the logo debate, but I kind of just have that on. Maybe this is the first year of establishing the team. Um, let's see. I think the pacing of the movie is very good. Even though it might seem a little clunky, of like the first half is the whole training the team, and the second half is playing the games. I still think that is just a gradual incline line of everyone getting to know each other and becoming brothers in a family kind of thing of the team and getting to win the state championship. I think that was gradually done well. I think I maybe Ryder. I'll save a little for you. I don't want to take everything, but the racism of the movie, the nuance of like showing both sides and how both sides affect the other side, and no one's a bad guy. It's just you got to come to terms of accepting one another, and that's what Boone does with the boys on the team, and that they come back completely. They left as boys, came back as men, kind of thing. And I just think that this movie does that so well and very well. And it's not necessarily like the main focus of the movie. I mean, I think baseball's the number one focus, but this is
Football.
not like this. What did I say? I said
You
baseball,
said
didn't I?
baseball.
Baseball.
Oops, sorry, football. So hey, baseball isn't the main focus here. Football. Um, but the racism aspect that's throughout the film is not. It doesn't feel like a B plot or like sideline. It feels like it is in tandem with football of all that's going on, and it's just very well integrated with one another. So objectively matched, I have this at an 8.
Well, alrighty. I
You
will.
dirty copycat.
Hey, we don't
Yeah.
know what Ryder's going to say.
Well, we'll see, won't we? All right. I'll start with my good old subjective. Um, Again, not really huge into sports movies. This one I is an exception. I think it really pulled me into the even though they had shifted the history for the sake of the movie, I think it does a good job capturing what it's like trying to overcome institutionalized racism and stuff like that. And I'm a huge sucker for those period pieces and found family and great character dynamics and all that good stuff. I think for me, I'm trying to think of what the weakest part of the film for me as far as enjoyment, and it might just be that it's just not my cup of tea, which is what happens when it's subjective, you know. Um, but it overcomes a lot of that, I think, on its own. Subjectively, I'm at an 8. I really liked it. I had a lot of fun with it. I would absolutely watch this again. It's probably the best football movie I've seen. You know, but take that with a grain of salt,
But
considering
you're
my
only 2
history.
episodes in
I know,
to the season.
I know, I know, I know. So far, it is the greatest football movie I've seen so far. That better?
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I definitely enjoyed it. Objectively, the plot and world building are heavily intertwined, as Sprinks alluded to, with the football being the plot, but the world building being mostly tied to the racism, how the city around them reacts to the team, and how the parents affect the children after they come back from camp, and the growth that all the kids have to go through individually. It's a lot of mishmashing of the themes of the movie and how well integrated all these ideas have to be put together. It's done in a very artful way. I'm gonna steal Crimson's phrase. Funny enough, movies that cover racism is famine or feast, and this one's a feast. I think they add enough nuance to where it never comes across as preachy. It just comes across as just, and that's where I think the strength in the core of the film really is, because when you're again when you're covering a topic like racism, there's clearly a side that's an oppressor, even if people on that side aren't necessarily directly contributing to the oppression. You have to be able to show that side with enough nuance that not everybody's like a horrible individual, and then you do have your bad individuals like Ray or Tyrell. And I think that's one of the core strengths of this film, is that it's able to keep its through line and thematic element mostly in line with what's going on with the plot and the story itself. The exception being potentially, obviously, wanting to swap out the racist team for the team that was our final team. Um, Characters, there's a lot of them. Just to name a few off the top of my head: Rev, Blue, Alan, Julius, Gary, uh, Ray, Beatty, Coach Boone, Coach. I said
Yoast.
his name, Yoast. I said his name to correct the whole podcast, but Yoast. Then we have Cheryl, Emma, and we have even the side characters are relatively like flushed out. They play an important role. Cheryl functions as a bit of release of tension during games, and she's also doubles as a really funny character, but she's in character, and we can infer things about her dynamic with her father. And then um, that just using that to extrapolate to everybody. I think everybody here has a lot of layers to them, and a lot of the dynamics of how they play off with each other. Gary and Julius being a really, really strong dynamic of the team, and then the coaches also being a strong dynamic of adults and how they interact. They're all really well fleshed out. We didn't really talk about this, but one of the things I really loved, what convinced Yost to stay, is like all those kids are willing to give up their future, and he views that as wrong. So he feels obligated to stay just to make sure his kids play and make sure they have the best opportunities possible. Which again ties back into how like Cheryl is like the last thing he needs to see, her reaction at the game to kind of push him into confronting the ref. It's for him, it's always like how much he cares about everybody in the group. And then you have Boone, who is shouldering all this responsibility of race and shouldering all the responsibility of the world going on around them, but he's can't lose a game, otherwise he is going to lose his position, his job, and etc. So they have very, very different pressures that manifest in very different ways, but it's how they two of them interact and that dynamic that play off each other was really one of the core strengths of the film. And I agree with what's been said. I think all the characters are mostly consistent. I think Ray has some bits missing with his relationship with Gary, and I think his relationship with uh well, his relationship with the team, where he's obviously he's involved in the second group huddle at the school, which I don't think he would be doing that at this point. And I'm forgetting a lot of the side characters, like the mom and everything else. But the characters I think are the core of the film, the strength of it, and everything else around it is extremely well done. I have been bouncing between 8 and 9. I'm settling on a tepid 8.5. I might change it to a 9 by recap. We shall see, because I don't think there's a lot necessarily that takes away from the film in terms of the writing. I think it's very strong. I think it can have a few movie moments here and there, but otherwise, I think it avoids everything it does do that it's a cliche. It does well, you know. Um, and I guess yeah, I'm at an 8.5.
Okay. Then I guess to bounce off it, just a realization onto me. This movie has, as you said, a lot of characters. No one feels removable. They're all actually characters. It's not just a name.
Yeah, for the most part, I think. Was it Blue? Is that what you? I never wrote his
Yeah,
name down.
Blue.
He's probably the only one. He'd be on the bottom of the list, or I guess top of the
I
list.
don't know, but Blue to me is the integration of the soul music to commemorate the team together.
Yeah, he and Louis have a dynamic going on. So I'm he's at the
And
bottom of
Blue
the
is one of the one who called the team together.
yeah. I would say he's at the quote unquote bottom of the character list, but that doesn't make him removable, you know?
Yeah, everybody has a place in this.
Yeah, pretty high movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
All right,
Man,
gentlemen.
I'm so looking forward to the. I mean, we did state that there's 6 when we did
Yes.
draft day last week, right? Okay, I'm so excited now for my next pick.
So am I, Sprinks. So am I. And I guess with unless do you have any final comments, gentlemen, or shall I read us out?
Yeah, I got one.
Oh.
It's totally coincidental, but I like how we started off with draft day, so a making of a football team. And this one's kind of training of a football team. It doesn't really focus on the games, it's more of building up the team. It'd be cool if the next one was actually football games being the focus.
Or
Who
like a
knows if
college
that's the
team.
case?
Because we got the draft, then we got high school if we go to college.
It'd be an interesting evolution.
Yeah.
Purely coincidental how it's gone so far. That's an observation.
All right. Anything else from you, Springs?
I'm just happy to hear that you said you're not a sports movie guy, but this is your, at the time, favorite football movie, it sounds like.
Yep. I would be curious to see something past it. I can't think of any off the top of my head. And I haven't seen many very much, so it's not
Oh,
high
wait for the
praise
rest of the
yet.
season, buddy.
But once the rest of the season
Oh,
happens, it might still stand at the top. We'll see. All right.
all right.
Thank you, audience, for listening, whether it be Spotify, Amazon, Castbox, Good Pods, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, and Samsung. And if you want to be in our visual side of things, be it YouTube, Rumble, or frickin' Spotify, thank you for watching our PNG Duper slideshow there. Please feel free to like, comment, subscribe everywhere. Tell us how much you hate our opinions or how much you love them. And as always, I've been a geeky writer,
I'm Crimson Maroon.
And I'm Springs.
and we will catch you next time. Later, everybody.
Bye.
Toodaloo.